All right, folks, it's another edition of an exciting edition of the online dinner party, where we have mystery guests and guests that we're expecting. So we're looking forward to a great evening and everything. As a matter of fact, I was up early this morning because we were having our IBM TV Awards, and I actually managed to garner three of those. So I was glad to get those awards and glad to have that kind of opportunity to get the recognition as a commentator and doing a number of other great things on the network. So that was definitely a fun award, and definitely was glad to have folks recognize a number of folks, not just myself, but others that have been involved in the IBM TV endeavors and doing a lot of great things here in our community. So definitely was glad to get that recognition and that award. And then earlier today, I found out that one of those checks had come in. So I was glad to get that money from the government and all of that. Still hoping that they'll send some more and along those lines. So at least there was a little bit of relief, even though it's not nearly enough to cover the kinds of debts that I've got going on and things of that nature. So I know a lot of folks are very much concerned about their personal economy, what's going on in the world, and a number of other things that are happening around our community in general. So as my friend Tree likes to put it, we're involved in a lot of crisis at this moment. We've got crisis around race relations, crisis around economics, of course, crisis around the health situation and all of that. So definitely we are seeing all of that going on. And of course, it's a lot that is on people's minds in that regards. So that being said, I'm glad that I've got some amazing guests on, including a longtime friend who has got a company that she has been doing for a number of years in terms of like having a liquor company, but then she's done a number of other things in the community as well. So she's just done some amazing things in the world, and I'm glad to have Naomie Lucas joining us, as well as some other friends that she's going to be telling us about. And hopefully I might even have Kim Calhoun pop in, who is one of the founders of this network and has definitely been involved in women empowerment and all of that. So definitely looking forward to some great conversations and looking forward to some amazing things happening in 2021. 2020 was definitely a rough year. There is no doubt about that, but hopefully we're going to see much better things in 2021 as the vaccine is out and people are getting the vaccine, including some major government officials and all of that. So hopefully we're going to find those cures. But, one of the main things that goes on in the world is this conversation of pivoting. And that's actually what Naomie Lucas had to do, because she was doing her Southern Wicked Lemonade, which she is still doing, which is more of the liquor and all of that. But then she went into the hand sanitizing business because she did recognize that that was something that was needed. And of course, a lot of times that uses high content alcohol and all of that. So I'm going to bring in Naomie Lucas, learn more about what Southern Wicked Lemonade is doing, some of the amazing things that she's got going on. And I believe she's brought some of her at least one business partner, maybe a couple of them with her. But right now we're going to bring in Naomie Lucas and hear what she's got to say about what's happening in the world. So definitely always great to have folks on. How are you doing? How is life treating
How
you?
are you? It's always a joy to see you.
It's a joy to see you as well. You're always doing amazing things. You're always doing great things in our community. So definitely glad to see you that still doing these amazing things in the world. For those that are new to you, and I've mentioned you several times to some of our folks, because we've actually got Gwen that is doing the shoot one. You've got your product as well, but she's doing a show with us now and everything. So I was teasing when I did the award show. I was like, we're gonna have to get Naomie Lucas to do. We can't have Gwen having all the fun, so we're gonna have to get you to do some stuff with us as well. But a lot of folks don't know that rich history of yours, so I would love for you to share with our international audience, because we have folks that are watching from as far away as South Africa, from Georgia, from a number of other places around the world. So you actually. Your family was even involved in this, as I recall from our audio podcast, at a very young age, but you then carried it into this international business. So I would love you to share a little bit of your story with the world, and then we can also talk about this pivot that you made, where you're also not just the product, but also doing hand sanitizing.
And I would tell you, my business partner, George Miller, is actually online along with Monica King. And George and our other partner, Ron Green, spearheaded the entire logistics of the pivot. I tell you, I'm just so blessed to have such an amazing team, and they're so creative. And so just a little bit about me. I am of an international descent. My father is African American. He's from Eastern North Carolina.
Okay.
His father, amazingly, my grandfather was a sharecropper in Eastern North Carolina. He was also the first African American to pay for a car in cash from the sale of his moonshine.
Wow.
And so his mother, though, was full Cherokee, and her name was Isadora. And so I have a Native American heritage through my great grandmother, Isadora. On my mom's side, she's Vietnamese. And on my mother's side, her uncle was Ngo Dinh Diem, president of South Vietnam, who actually signed to bring the United States into the Vietnam War. And so very, very rich history on the political side, on my mother's side, with Ngo Dinh Diem, and then with my grandfather, very, grassroots through that. And he was the love of my life. Absolutely adored my grandfather. I was named after my grandmother's. So that goes without saying that she was my heart as well. But is amazing because during his lifetime, he was such a Christian, and he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he didn't show any proclivities of that nature to his grandchildren. He had given all of those things up by the time we came along. But so it was interesting to learn about his moonshining days. And so I'm just very blessed to be the owner of the first African-American legally owned moonshine company in the United States. We've been featured in the Oscars and Grammys several years in a row. Had COVID not occurred, we had been offered to come to be featured in the American Pavilion and Cannes Film Festival. Hopefully that invitation will remain open to us next year. We participated in the George Lopez Foundation with his celebrity golf tournament. And the list goes on and on. We were voted number one in the Turner Studios Taste of Turner for Atlanta as the number one beverage. And that was a very big accolade because you had over 2,500 Turner employees, and to be voted number one against the likes of Starbucks and all of these wonderful craft distilleries and breweries and restaurants, it was just amazing. So we were just very blessed to get that accolade just recently. So yeah.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing accolade to have and to share with your team and everything along those lines. So that's just an amazing accolade. Could you tell folks that don't know a little bit about the history of moonshine in North Carolina and moonshine in Tennessee, a little bit of that history? Because I'm oftentimes fascinated by it. And a lot of folks don't know that even the entire industries, including, I would argue, NASCAR kind of came out of the moonshine industry and everything. But can you share a little bit about that history as you know it?
From what I understood about moonshining, or I think I shared you the personal story of my grandfather. For a lot of African Americans or minorities in general, they had to find their hustle. And when my grandmother was diagnosed with tuberculosis, she had to go into a facility, back then, and they would be in a facility for years. And at the time, my grandfather had, 6 children to fend for, and he had to pay for her medical bill, and he had to figure out how to get a vehicle that was, that worked well enough to take him from Wilson to Raleigh. And so him and his brother Paul decided to create moonshine. And it's amazing because they moonshined all the way up until my Uncle Paul's daughter. She died when she was about 7.5, 8 years old. Wow. And both of them being raised in the church, they believed that it was God punishing them for breaking the law. So on the day of her funeral, they closed down the still, and they made a promise to God that if God would allow their children to grow up to adulthood and to, be legal, law-abiding citizens, that they would stop all of their shining. And the beautiful, thing about our family is that God honored their promise to God, and God in turn kept his promise to them. So, I tell people that in my family, in my immediate family and thereabouts, we have been very, very blessed that my family members are homeowners, they're college graduates, they've gone on to do amazing, amazing things, to become educators and, professional athletes and, the sort. And, we're just really, really blessed, very, very blessed.
Yeah, sounds like y'all have been very blessed and everything, and the family's gone through a lot, whether that was what it went through with the moonshine business, but also around tuberculosis, because that was a disease that a lot of folks weren't even knowing how to handle it when it first came out and things along that line. And then, of course, when it was in the minority community, it was even treated even more harshly and things of that nature. Because even now we're seeing that, as I'm sure you're seeing with the things that you're doing with the hand sanitizers and a number of other things, that we're finding out that it's not, even the COVID isn't treating our part of society as much as it is hitting some of the other parts. It seems like we're getting hit even harder, even though the whole world is getting hit hard, but it seems that there have been some statistics that we have been hit even harder.
And the amazing thing is that there's always been a health disparity in the United States. And when it's between the have and the have-nots, and then, cultural, as far as cultures and communities. And so you're exactly right. But I think George can kind of speak to even the disparities when it comes to winning contracts. I mean, right. We were one of the very first minority PPE companies, that was Hub certified. And, he can talk about, our early contract wins. But, we find, and one of the biggest, I think, heartburn issues that I have with North Carolina, as a North Carolina company owner, is that North Carolina, they don't require the state to do a certain percentage with minority companies. Wow. They suggest, but it's not required. So when you're going up for contracts, they don't separate small companies against big companies. Like we were going against a contract in Mecklenburg County. And guess who one of the people were? Home Depot.
Oh, wow.
Home Depot. How could we ever underprice Home Depot? That's never going to occur, right? But the state that I think is really doing a fantastic job in looking out for their small businesses is Virginia. And when I say I've thought long and hard about setting up shop in Virginia, because they will actually, issue out a RFP, and they will say this RFP is for minority, small, businesses, or they'll say minority female small businesses. Mm-hmm. I mean, and if your revenue is over this amount, you don't get to bid.
Wow.
And then they award that contract, and typically it's awarded within like 48 hours of the, of the deadline date. They don't play any games. Wow. And so it really allows a small business to be able to gain entry into, getting now bids, because now you're actually bidding against companies that are your equal. Right. North Carolina has nothing like that at all, period. Right. And then when I talked to, the person over Hub here, I was like, I said, well, I thought that like 10% of the contracts had to go to, small businesses. And they said, no, it's a suggestion, but it's not a requirement.
Wow, that's amazing. It's only a requirement. I mean, a suggestion and not an actual requirement. I'm just amazed at that and everything. One of the things that I know that one of our founders is Kim Calhoun, and she's actually very much involved in encouraging women business owners and things along that line. She's actually part of the engineering department over at North Carolina State. And then she's also done a lot of other works. Her and Nick Palbeda are the ones that created this network, the International Broadcast Media and everything. So that being said, I know that she would love to hear from you, your thoughts as to how we are doing as a country, as well as here in North Carolina, in terms of supporting both women and minority businesses, in your opinion.
It has been a disappointment. I think that there's a lot of good intent. And it was through a friend of mine who serves on the governor's cabinet that we were able to secure the North Carolina Veteran Administration's contract for all of the PPE for sanitizer for all of the nursing homes for the veterans. And it was through her influence as well that we were able to get the contract for the North Carolina State Employees Credit Union, which, by the way, is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I cannot say enough about that organization. However, when you're talking about the state RFPs, and the disparity, that's a tough one. I mean, I've been disappointed, and I don't see how. It seems to be a small network. Part of me wants to say a good old boy network. Right. And if you're not in that network, and maybe you're able to get a subcontract, kind of piece, but to get a significant contract, I think it's been very, very hard. I mean, for us, we had a superior product. Our sanitizer is at 80% hospital grade, 80%, not 70%, 80%. Okay. It doesn't smell like corn liquor. It doesn't smell like tequila. It doesn't smell like vodka. It smells like rubbing alcohol. And so during the height of COVID, when everyone was, selling sanitizer that smelled like, you needed to go to AA, and that's no, against AA, but I'm like, you shouldn't be in school smelling like a liquor still. I mean, I just, I don't think you should smell like tequila while you're sitting in class, right? Right. And we said, hey, we have a superior product. It's hospital grade, so you can use it to sanitize your equipment in addition to, sanitizing your hands. And we made it gentle enough with, aloe infused that it did both. You could clean your hospital equipment or your desks or your chairs, and you could do your hands. And we had comparable prices, even below prices. Like there were some distilleries that were selling sanitizer at $80 a jug or $60 a jug. And we were well below, and we didn't get the contract. Tell me how that happened.
It's hard to believe that y'all did not get that contract and everything. I did want to bring George. I think you also have Monica with you as well. We wanted to bring George into the conversation so he could talk a little bit about being involved with the company and definitely working with the company, and even this pivot that Naomie Lucas has been talking about. Because I understand that you were one of the major engineers behind helping them make that pivot. So share a little bit about your involvement with the company and why you even saw this kind of need, along with the founder, to make the pivot from doing liquor sales, which y'all are still doing, but also doing this whole work within the hand sanitizing business.
Well, thanks first for having me. The whole Southern Wicked, it was an idea that, Naomie brought to me years ago. And I wasn't thinking in this pathway. And she saw a need, first of all, for, people to have, especially her. She's this workout fanatic. She doesn't want all these high calories and things if she does decide to partake in alcohol. So I'm like, okay, I get it. Let's look into it. And then she, came with a phenomenal product that tastes great. And that's what really, I seen it met a need, and I was gung-ho. I was all aboard, and I happened to be the first taste tester, I will say. So part of it tasting good was just my opinion, even though I didn't make it. She did all the hard work. All I had to do was sit back and say, yes, yes. So it was a phenomenal thing. I saw her, her vision as she took that out and saw the hard work that she put into it. And it was just, I was happy to be on board and do whatever I could, add whatever I could to going into that vision. And then, as you said, we had to, we decided to pivot with the nature of the country and where we were, just seeing even individually what we couldn't find to provide, for our families and all. As far as PPEs, she said it has to be something that we can do. We saw that there were distilleries that were putting out products that, we even looked at, and bought to start with. And we like, this is, not a superior product. This is something that we don't want to have for, our families, our kids. So what can we do to do our part to help out? And that's when we really, pivot into the PPE component. And we started with sanitizer, and then we just expanded it to whatever we could do in this time, just to assist with people. And, being the minority component, a Black company, woman owned, it brought so many aspects there that made it difficult for us. But, even on both sides, from the liquor side to the PPE, it never stopped us. It was a component we knew that could be there. We knew would be there. It's not something that we haven't experienced in life. And we knew that would come in this component also. But we kept striving and, working with her and other business partners. We just had people in place that would put in the work. They knew what may come about. It didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. What could we do to push? How do we get beyond those obstacles? And when you have a CEO behind you that has your back to the end, no matter what, she's going to push you. You give her ideas. She's like, that's good. Let's work it. Let's push. Now, we going to push. We going to push. It ain't no stopping. We going all the way. No one's going to stand in our way. You can say that. She period point blank tell you, now we're going to go into it. We're going to do it all the way. She doesn't believe in half doing anything. So when we get, the other partners and all into it, and they know, she'll tell us in a minute, if you're not getting it together, let's go. It's like we're representing each other. We're representing her. We're representing the Black minority, all these things that we're representing that we have to hold up this mantle for. So it's an honor, I will say that, to be chosen. And I'm just, thankful to be a part of something so great.
Sounds great. Naomie, when you come around finding people like George and everything, what do you look for in terms of teammates and in terms of folks to get involved in companies? Because it sounds like you've got a very dynamic gentleman in George and everything. So what are kind of the folks that you're looking for when you're putting together this powerful team? Because every time that I've had the privilege of running across you and definitely running across some of your other folks, there's always that kind of enthusiasm. So what makes a good team for you?
For me, loyalty first. You got to have people that's going to ride with you even on the days that they don't like you, right? And there are days when we don't like each other because we're pushing, or I'm like, no, yeah, all these labels got to be redone, or blah 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 blah. And they might not like it, but they respect the fact that we need to put an extra hour or two in, because at the end of the day, it is our brand, it's our product. And when it goes out, we can't have stuff on it, right? And so, people who are not lazy. I mean, people that will go above and beyond, that I can't be the one pushing for perfection alone, right? That George might say, oh, you know what? We didn't stack that quite right. Or, you know what? I know we just spent the last 2 hours, putting all of these things together, but it's not right. We got to redo it. We got to take it down. We got to rebuild it, and we got to redo it. And to have people with that spirit of excellence and who aren't afraid of no, because from the day one that we started this company, we were told, no, this can't be done. This never has been done. And we were like, okay, well, we believe God has told us yes. And, so the third quality is people of faith.
Right.
Because unless you're on one accord, it's not going to work, right? So you have to have, and it's your faith that's going to put you back on the same page when you're on different pages. You're like, and it's nothing for us, when we do our meetings, we open in prayer and we close in prayer every meeting, because we believe God first. Even in, our protocols as a company, we tie 10% back to the local community. And that's very, very important to us, in finding people who are of like mind, whether, it's a vendor or a joint venture partner like Monica King. She actually helps us on the PPE side, but she also has a athletic company where she does, training. She's actually my personal trainer. She's trained different people within Wicked, because, the other part of it is that you have to take care of mind, body, and spirit. You are a tribe being. And so with Monica, she's actually an adoptee into our SWO family. We absolutely adore her. We love everything that she's doing with Moneclectic. And in fact, we're getting ready to go into a joint venture with a cannabis company to
wow.
entire line of cannabis drinks that we're very excited about. And I was just talking to her about, having her come in to help formulate a sports drink for us, a sport cannabis drink, her and another friend of mine, who was a former NFL player. And so I think, when you talk about that kind of collaboration where, you have George that played, basketball. You have my friend that played football. You have her that is a professional bodybuilder, well into her late 40s, right? And when you get on camera, you're not going to believe that she's in her 40s. But and she lives and breathes exactly what she espouses, and that's what you want. You want people that's going to walk their talk.
You definitely want folks that are going to walk that talk and do all of that. And definitely agree with you on that. One of the shows that we have here that actually aired earlier today, actually right before me, was a show called Weed Wednesday. It's a gentleman by the name of Jeff Eachin. So he's actually been doing a lot of work because he's recognized that a lot of folks are serving time in prison for offenses dealing with cannabis and things along those lines. So he's definitely involved in that field and has definitely been getting a lot of folks out for those nonviolent kind of offenses. So he's actually got a number of folks out already and is very much involved in the hemp industry over there in the West Coast. So definitely he's somebody I don't have to put y'all in touch with because he's doing a lot of that similar kind of work on a regular basis here on this platform that we have and everything. You talked about some of the things that you were told that folks were giving you that naysayer kind of attitude. And I know we talked about it on the audio podcast as well. So you share with our listeners what some of those naysayer views were and just how you handle those naysayers. Because I find that oftentimes, no matter what the business is, whether it's a television station like what Nick and Kim are doing with this platform, or whether it's folks in the music industry or even in the athletic industry, that oftentimes they are faced with that naysayer attitude, but you have to have that positive attitude, which I've always known you to have, Naomie. But I'd love to hear some of the things that folks told you and some of the ways that you countered those arguments.
I don't know if I was positive. I might have been a little bit of the mad Black woman during part of that time. George, you want to tell your version and then I'll tell mine. How about that?
Oh man, yeah, I could say the mad Black woman did come out. It was specific, situations that happened, and also some were just going into an industry, alcohol industry. You can look at it, look through it. They're never let the minorities be any part of it, really. They'll put your face out there if you're famous enough and allow you to build their brand and make them the billions while they'll give you a few million. And, we have the misconception. So many people are like, oh, wow, so he owns this brand. Oh, he owns. Not at all. Not at all. They'll let you use your fame and your face, pay you pennies on the dollar of what they're making to be a part. So when Naomie said, look, we're going to break into this industry, not only were people like, you're crazy, there's no way, they didn't offer any assistance. She was like, it's nowhere you can go and study and find. She's like, we're going to have to figure this out. We're going to have to dig deep to whatever we can read, whatever we can find, and kind of piece things together, because no one in the industry is going to assist us. They're not going to give us any kind of help going into it, no matter what affiliation we had, no matter how close to them, like, man, alumni, whatever else it was, they weren't going to provide that help. So, coming upon a few things, and she knew we had a superior product, first of all, just being compared to others, and other people even trying it knew it was superior, and people tried to come and undercut and like buy it for pennies on it. Like, oh no, you can't get, no one to help you bring it about, but you can sell it to me and I can take over it, because they knew it was a superior product. And she's looking at him like, how stupid do you think I am? I know what we have and I've seen this. And even though you're not going to help me, I'm going to find a way. So I can tell you this, there was a few that I thought she was going to just lose it. When she say mad Black woman, that's what it was. It was like, you're not going to tell me no. And that's another thing that showed me, even more the respect I have for her and, there to push with her, because no matter how many obstacles we kept hitting, it was like, you're still not going to stop us. We're going to find a way. If this avenue shuts off, if God has told me that this is what we're supposed to do, he's given me these things and I have to be a good steward of it. And I'm not going to just let it die. So no matter what it was, telling us no, shutting the door, saying, yes, we'll help you. Then you get there and they see your face. And it's like, oh, no, we don't have any room. And you can look at the place that's purely empty, nothing but space to be able to assist you. You don't have top government agencies tell you that this place has space. So it's there. But when they see your face, they tell you, no, we don't have it. Sorry, we can't help you. From those points to where it and she's losing it to like, okay, she's going to lose it for a minute, but she's going to come back and say, let's go to what's next. What can we go to next? So her version of it might not be told as nicely as mine was, and it may not have went that nicely, but at the end of the day, after all of that frustration, came out, and she was like, but at the end of the day, but God gave us this, and we're not going to stop. So let's continue. What's next? It was always a what's next. This is not, this is for now, but what's next? You can't stop me. You may slow me down a little bit, but that means there's something more out there for me. So that attitude and component of it is what really kept us going, even with all these obstacles.
I'd love to hear your take, Naomie, as well. But I was just going to add to that. One of the things that one of our folks that's the other founder, Nick Palveda, always talks about is financial literacy. Part of the reason he created this network was he wanted to kind of narrow the gap between those that really have a lot and those that are struggling and all of that, because he feels that a lot of times we don't learn about financial literacy. And I would argue we don't learn about business in college and things along that line. So I was wondering your take on that as well, because I feel that we should learn a lot about entrepreneurship, even at the college and at the high school level. And I don't feel that we do enough of that. So I'd love to hear your take on that, Naomie.
The thing about it is when George was referring, so in alcohol, you can get your alcohol license to create alcohol. Your labels approved, all of that, your formulation approved within 3 to 4 months if you're working under a licensed distillery, right? So another distillery can help facilitate your license, okay? There are 5 moonshine distilleries in North Carolina. One of them in particular that I will call out because they were absolutely of no help was Top of the Hill, who the owner is a UNC alum. He had space at the time. We had a North Carolina agency confirm that he had space. He refused to help us. Absolutely refused to. Other distilleries in North Carolina were approached in helping us. All of them said no, which is how we ended up having our distillery in Colorado, because absolutely no one in North Carolina would assist us as far as the distilleries here. Mm-hmm. So it took us 10 months to get our licenses rather than the 3 to 4 months. But God has a sense of humor, because none of those alcohols were ever featured in the Oscars and Grammys. None of those alcohols were ever given the type of national and international accolades that Southern Wicked has been given. In fact, my brother, director Anthony Hemingway, he did Power 2. And in the first episode of Power 2, in the cookout scene, you see Southern Wicked. And, and so you see us on HBO, and then we were featured on Beyond the Pole. We were featured on, so many different platforms, right? Media platforms, CBS, of all the bag items that was given at the Grammys, and they normally take out 5. We were one of the 5 featured, which was amazing, right? The Oscars, one of the board members of Cannes Film Festival had our product at either the Oscars or the Grammys and invited Southern Wicked especially to come to Cannes to be featured in the American Pavilion in France. Such an honor. we were featured in Capital, in club magazines, and and for UNC as an alumni, I was given the great honor of being featured as a featured alumni, which is amazing, right, for the alumni magazine. So God does have a huge sense of humor. I think, for us now, it is up to us to help open the doors and the pathways for other young entrepreneurs. The other thing is that we were able to build Southern Wicked debt free, which is really an amazing feat, because when we first went into this liquor business, we were told you can't do this for more than $2 or $3 million off the rip. Like, that's just starting off. That's not even like your real budget. That's just to do all the development work and to get all the licenses you need. And, that's it. And we did it for quite significantly less because, other people were playing with dollars. We were playing with pennies, right? Comparatively speaking. But, if you count your pennies and you're a good steward, God will do the rest. And so we've just along the way met really, really good people. The other part about that is when you talk about entrepreneurship, and I talk to young people all the time, there's some people that they're not meant to be entrepreneurs. They're meant to be support people. And, a lot of times, though, you have support people that want to be the CEO, but heavy is the head that wears the crown. And that's a big because, and George told you, when investment dollars didn't come in, other things didn't come in, I wrote the check, right? I covered the deficits of the company, which sometimes meant that maybe my car didn't get fixed. Maybe other things didn't happen. George, Eric, Dacious, other people in, when I couldn't carry the company, they stepped up with their checkbooks and said, we got you this time, Nate. Don't worry about it. We got us. And, and that's the other part is when you have people that are around you that really believe in the vision, not you, but in the vision, and they see the sincerity and the integrity and the transparency. Because the other part is, some people may feel like, well, I'm the CEO. I don't owe you an explanation. I'm like, no, that is not the case. And the way that we built SWL, every partner gets one vote. It doesn't matter how much stock you own. You know how many votes I get in SWL? One.
One vote.
Because I'm like, we ride together or we die together. That's it, right? So why should I get 10 votes? I may have the majority of the stock, but at the end of the day, it's all of us with our sleeves up. So I'm like, you know what? If I make a bad decision, it's going to cause all of us to die, and that's not right. And I'm like, my win is your win. Your win is my win. So, we really do have a SWL family. Like, when we tag SWL family, it is truly SWL family.
Amazing family. And speaking of the family, I was going to bring Monica in. And by the way, I was going to tell y'all that I did have another person that was involved in the sports field as well. And she's actually doing some similar work to what y'all are doing, only she's doing it in the field of sports drinks. And that was about a couple of weeks ago. I had the privilege of having Fran Harris on. So Fran Harris has got a product called Electra, but she is actually a former WNBA player and is now going into the sports drink business. And so she has launched her own line of sports drinks and everything. So she's doing that and building a series of sports franchises. I think the first one is going to be in Texas, where she is originally from, but then from there, she's going to move it to around the country and all of that. So she's definitely hoping to come to the East Coast. So I'll have to connect her to the SWL family and everything for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So Monica and George, this is actually for both of you, but I'd love to hear, what was it about the company that made you so passionate about it as much as the owner? Naomie has always had a passion, but it sounds like y'all have joined the family and have a deep passion. You're even, Monica, coming in with another partnership that you are bringing in that Naomie has already talked about. But I'd love to hear from both of you what it is about the company that is something that y'all really enjoy and that is the reason that y'all are part of the SWL family?
Yeah, for me, thanks for having me on it. But for me, it's just hearing the passion that Naomie shares about the company, and the fact that it's just all organic and just, and I'm all about the health. So just to have that, to have a drink that is all natural is awesome, and because you don't find that in the stores. But her passion towards the company is just amazing. And then just everyone else, all the family members that are involved in it, just to see their passion is, awesome, because I'm all about family. So yeah, that's what I like about the company.
Well, what about you, George? What got you into it? You were definitely, as Naomie said, you were involved in the sports world at one point, but definitely made you get involved in this part of the business aspect?
Well, it as Monica says, it starts with the passion. You have to see someone with a passion. If they're bringing something to you that they want you to join and be a part of, if there's no passion, it's not going to prosper. I mean, where your passion is, that's where you will find, prosperity. So when she brought, that to me, I saw that, and not only the passion, but it was like a child. It was like she had a child, and she was going to allow you to be a part of babysitting and raising this child. And if you're going to be a part of it, she's entrusting you with it, as she said earlier, even as far as giving you a vote, just like she has a vote. It wasn't a thing that, I'm going to take this, I'm the head, I'm dominion, I'm this dictator. It's like, we're going in this together. Even though I birthed this child, we're going to raise it together and raise it to adulthood to make it, this child be, all that it can be from every aspect. And anybody we bring in, we're going to trust with the life of this child. So when I saw that and became part of it, it was, that passion is infectious. So anybody that became part of it, it took like, hey, this is mine. This is mine also. They don't look at it as like, oh, I'm just helping Naomie. It's like, this is mine. So like she said, when it was places and times where, hey, this investor didn't do this, or this person didn't do this, or this company, didn't pay where they're supposed to, it was nothing to go in. And it wasn't because, oh man, we got to do this. No, it was like, we got you. At the end of the day, we're family. We're all going to go, because when we reached the pinnacle, she told every one of us, and she stuck by it. She's like, we're all going to get there together. This is not going to be just build this big Naomie show. But she said, we're all going to get there. Yeah. Because if you're putting in the work, then we're taking each other with you. It's not a thing of, well, you're going to put a little money and then go sit to the side. No, it's all working partnerships. She was big on that. It's a working partnership. We're not looking for just anybody. Everybody likes to throw money. It's a lot of people that would just throw money and say, okay, make me some money from this. I see it's something good. She was like, no, this is a working partnership. You're going to have blood, sweat, and tears. You might be working 2 a.m. You never know. It may be a call like, hey, we have to do this. It was last minute, but they're giving us opportunity. How can we make it happen? And you look at her at first like, are you kidding me? Like, are you serious? How in the world can we do this? But then you have to sit back and look. She's like, this is what we're presenting. It doesn't go like to these other companies. They're getting plenty of time. They already know they had the resources in place, but they're going to present it to us like, no, they can't make it happen. But we can say that we gave them opportunity. She's like, they picked the wrong business. Because if you're going to give us opportunity and it's a way for us to make it happen, even though to you it may look like it can't, we're going to find a way. And in short periods of time, we'll go through stuff. We call up other partners. They like, hey, I can drive. I can be on my way now. Like, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Don't worry. We can drive. We hours away. It doesn't matter. Let's get to it. We can get it done. And, seeing that passion and someone allowing you, to be a part of that, I take it to heart. Being a former athlete, be it in that, sports world, you're always competitive. So if somebody comes and start giving you something to say, oh, you can't do this. Oh, that's just the wrong thing to do with this team. You can't tell us what we can't do, because we'll find a way to make it happen. And then, at the end of the day, we all prosper.
Yeah, I mean,
sounds like a great attitude to have and everything, and such a positive attitude to have in the way that y'all treated everything. Now, we're already hearing statistics, and it's been reported even here on our network and everything about how many of our businesses are going to be failing because of what's going on with COVID and everything along those lines. It seems to me like y'all are not even thinking about that in any way or form or fashion. So, what kind of advice do you give to these small business owners that are already hearing these naysayer tales about 60% of their businesses may fail, 50% of their businesses may fail, depending on what business they're in, whether that's restaurants, whether that's entertainment, or a number of other businesses that are hearing these kind of negative stories out there. So what kind of positive message would you give to folks to encourage them to still stay in the fight?
My mentor gave me advice that I live and die by. He said, you can be mediocre at a lot of things or excellent at a few things. And I think as an entrepreneur, when people talk about your business, they're always, wanting to figure out how they can joint venture with you. How can they do this? But you only know within you and your executive team what's really doable and where you need to put your focus. And just because an opportunity is presented at that moment, it doesn't mean that it's a now moment, right? It could be that it's a 6 months to a year later moment. And the other part is knowing your team. Like George, he was talking cryptically about this delivery that we had. It was a shipment that we had coming from Colorado, and during COVID, we had probably, I want to say maybe a fourth of our shipment damaged during this whole thing. And when it got to North Carolina, George wouldn't even allow me to go to the loading dock because he thought she is going to have a mental breakdown if she sees this, right? Because there was no extra here in North Carolina. There's no way to make sanitizer here, right? Everything is made in Colorado. And, George called up Monica. George called everybody up except for me. And they put themselves together, cleaned up, got it to a certain point where by the time they called me, they said, okay, this has happened, but this is what we put into effect into plan B. And at that moment, I knew God was with us because it was like the oil coming out. I mean, by a miracle, we were able to make the order. And this was for our state employees credit union, which was our first large shipment, right? So there are almost 300 locations. And when we say that God multiplied, the rest of what we had, he multiplied it. But, I can't tell you enough that who you allow in your company is equivalent to, in adult terms, who you allow in your bed.
Wow. And Monica, you're bringing a whole nother line of a product into the company. I mean, y'all have already gone from the liquor to now hand sanitizers, and now you're bringing a whole nother line in here. So what even motivated you to kind of come up with this thought of bringing in something different? A lot of folks would have this very negative attitude of not even wanting to try to pivot to a whole third stream of income, but you saw an opportunity, and it sounds like you have kind of created that as an opportunity. So I'd love to hear more as to what your thought pattern was and how you approached Naomie about it.
Well, I am that go-getter like Naomie. I am always looking for new opportunities, and I have tried many different sports drinks, and I know what's out there and what's harmful to the body. A lot of products have a lot of sugar in it, and I know Naomie is all about healthy as I am. So I went to her about, the sports line, trying to create something, for more so for women, because there are so many products out there that are for men that are really harsh to the body. So that's what led me to, talk to Naomie to see if we can have this joint venture.
And I love her clothing. I love her clothing line, her waist trainers. And just her as a coach. I mean, if you're out there and you can't seem to drop the weight, and I created Southern Wicked because of heart lung issues that I was having and all clean diet. And even with some of the limitations with, heart and lung issues, Monica, I mean, right now I'm the fittest that I've been probably in the last 7 years since I was first diagnosed between Duke and the Mayo Clinic with heart lung issues. And, I feel good. I feel great. And, the basis of Southern Wicked, and I know it sounds crazy, is that if you're going to have a proclivity, make it as healthy as possible. And so we are organically free. We're, gluten free. We are, we're organic, gluten free. We're all natural. We are farm to table. And when you look at the cottons and the different things of Monica's clothing line and, just how she approaches exercise and eating and diet, we were aligned like automatically. And then, even with George, we've even had George out there working with us and
George is giving me that look like they had me working too hard to be the young
rough.
And everything.
Marc, they rough. I'm telling you, it's beneficial. Don't get me wrong. It's that thing that at the point she's like, you have to push if you want. It reminds me of Naomie also. It's like if you want things, if you want better, you have to push. It's not easy. It's not something that everybody's going to do. Everybody sits back and like, oh, I want to have the 6-pack. I want to look like this, but they expect to just jump on them and have it. No, it takes work. It takes work. I've been out at night and everything. I'm like, crazy. But, then you see the results, from both of them. They stick with it and they get those results. So, yeah, Monica's been that one. And she'll give you them little silent jabs to let you know if you slacking. Just like Naomie. She'll let you know. She's like, oh, man, y'all, I'm done with this. Where y'all at? Kind of thing to keep you pushing. And that's a thing that I know has been very effective for so many people.
Well, like I said, that exercise is a very important thing. I need to actually get out and do more of that myself. So I might have to go over there and see Monica myself and get some exercise going on. But I know one of my guests on one of the other podcasts here on IBM TV was a young lady named Fritz Kohler who commentates on running races and things of that nature. But she's a breast cancer survivor and a former kickboxer. So when I was seeing her and she still has that very fit look and everything, and I'm going like, wait a minute, you survived cancer and still have that positive attitude, because she also is a woman of faith, so she definitely believes that faith is what got her through it and all of that. So one thing I've got to ask you, Naomie, and I know we talked about it on the audio podcast, is the fact of the name. And a lot of folks get a big kick out of the name, but you are such a woman of faith, such a woman of positivity and all of that. So you're going to have to tell us how you kept the name Southern Wicked and what Southern Wicked means to you, because a lot of people would have different definitions of what Southern Wicked is, but I think you have a very unique take on what that means.
Right. So Southern, of course, I am a Southern girl. George, even though he's from Michigan, he's a transplant, and so he's Southern. He drinks Bojangles sweet tea. You can't be more Southern than that, right? And so Wicked came from. So when we were having these tastings of the formulations, because I'm a chemist, so I created all the formulas, and it's funny because it was one evening. All of us, we were on the back deck, trying out all these different liquors that we created. And we got up to stand up, and it was things were like a little wobbly. But, and so someone made the comment, oh my God, this lemonade is wicked. And we were like, oh, that's kind of cool. So our tagline is, I behave when you can be wicked. And so we have a non-alcoholic company called Southern Good. And so you guys are going to start seeing good versus wicked. And so that whole comparison, or, why be wicked when you can be good? So, there are the, for some people who don't drink, we've got good. And for the people who may want to be naughty, we've got the wicked. So, and I think that there's a little naughty and good in everyone, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, everybody's got that side of them. There's no doubt about that and everything. There's everybody shares that side. It's just like they have the good side as well. You just have to have it under control every once in a while. Balance. It's all about the balancing act. There's no doubt about that. And definitely y'all have done a great job of being entrepreneurs and doing all of that and doing an amazing job with that whole entrepreneurship angle at everything. But I love the Southern Wicked aspect. Monica, I was going to ask you really quickly, share a little bit more about your company and what you're doing with these folks in exercise and how one could wind up getting the exercise if they're here in the area and they want to learn about what you're doing that way, as well as the fashion stuff.
Yes, I am right now doing virtual training. I have a couple people in the gym, but it just very limited. But if anyone wants to do virtual training, I'm available. Trying to keep healthy as we are COVID, trying to be COVID free at the same time. So, and also I've started the clothing line doing the athletic, but also able to leave the gym and also go out and run errands in your athletic wear at the same time. So that's what I have right now.
Oh,
And
wow.
what I love about her athletic wear is for curvy women, right? Because not all of us are yoga straight.
Right.
Some of us have curves, and and that's the amazing thing is that her clothes are for us.
Yes, absolutely.
So then for the person who's got those curves, and a lot of times the past industry would always go for those folks who are in those size zeros to size ones, and we know that that's not the majority of the female population. I don't know why TV tries to make it out to be the majority of the population because it's far from it. Now, George, these two young ladies have got amazing businesses and all of that, but you have not managed to do that. So I'd love to know when your business is going to launch and all of that.
Oh, don't start that, Mark. Don't start that. It's funny because as Naomie was talking earlier, she was saying there were so many people that are built, to be the entrepreneur and those that are built to be there to push all of them. And, it's about knowing your place and knowing what, where you can really assist everyone. I'm one of those people that, everything she comes up with at this point now, it doesn't matter what Naomie comes up with, I'm going to be there to push because I know how she is and what she's going to bring and how it's going to be. And it's the same thing with Monica and all our partners that come about. It's some of us that will run out there and branch off and have our business going outside of it. And there's still going to be those people that are going to make sure that everything behind the scenes and everything that needs to be taken care of is done. And I'm that guy and very comfortable with it. I've been in the spotlight before. I've done it, with the athletic component where everything was on me and all, and it was fine at that point. And I've lived that life and enjoyed it. And it's being in that place where you can really be there to assist people. It's just something, to me, that I love it. I love that component. So if it's a hole that needs to be, filled, you see anything that you see missing, even before they, even before the CEO sees it, and you've already taken care of it, it's like, oh, wow, that's done. Like, yep, that's finished. It's done. So it's just a lovely thing.
No, definitely. And I do think y'all, and particularly Naomie, is going to have to bounce out after a while. Hopefully the rest of y'all can stay on because the show goes on for a while. I'd love to hear and continue the conversation. One of the things that I always do with all of my guests is I always give them an opportunity to share their words of wisdom, their words of positivity that they would like to share with everybody else. So, Naomie, I would definitely love to have you do that right now. Any kinds of words of wisdom or words of positivity that you would love to share with folks, then I would love to hear those from you.
Yeah, I'll tell anybody that, if in your prayer time, God tells you yes, it doesn't matter how many people tell you no. God will open the doors. But if there's a door that you walk to and it's closed, you tried several times, leave it and walk away. Leave it and walk away. Yeah, because a lot of times we get into situations because we try to force a door that maybe God never meant for us to open. So it's just having the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I definitely appreciate you and always appreciate you as a friend, Naomie. I've always said that at some point or another, we're going to have to catch up in the post-COVID times or when folks are back out and everything so that we can actually spend some time visiting with each other and just learning more about the business and everything. You are always a great guest on my shows and everything. One of the things I was going to bring in Coach David into the conversation. He's another guest that I've got, but he's also about positivity. And one of the things I was hoping that you could give us a comment on is something that David is about, which is about education, because he's actually was hearing kids and they were going to like conventions, well, not conventions, but like those student gatherings and everything, and they weren't really being truly motivated. And so when he saw that as an opportunity to get out there and actually motivate in a true and more effective way, I would argue. But I'll let him share the story as what he did and everything. But I would love to hear your thoughts on education.
So the one thing that Southern Wicked is doing currently now is we are actually going through some marketing proposals for kids at Panther Creek High School right now on doing reviews on their plans. And so, we all are volunteering our time to go through all of their, proposals and kind of get feedback on their entrepreneurial ideas. We've also done that for another graduate school here in Raleigh. And so, those are things that we love to participate in. It's very important from an education perspective that we stay involved. George is an excellent motivational speaker, talking to young athletes, giving advice. I mean, having him come out at any point in time would be amazing because of his time as a professional athlete. He knows the do's and the don'ts and the mistakes that he's made. But anyway, it's a wonderful, it's great meeting you. I hope that at some point we can connect. I've got to head off though to an appointment, but certainly thank you so much, Marc, for having us on. And I hope that we can share a glass of Wicked soon.
Sounds good. Definitely look forward to doing that. Definitely sharing a glass of Wicked with y'all and everything. I look forward to that in the near future. I know you've got to bounce off and get to your meetings. I also know that Kim Calhoun has already said that she would like to reach out to you to talk about some opportunities even here with the international broadcast media, whether that's through the programming aspect or whether that's through sponsorship. But I do know that she has reached out, sent you some information, and will continue to do that. So that is something that I know that we are very much excited about and definitely will be following up with you on that.
Okay, sounds fantastic. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
David, tell a little bit about what you've been doing and everything. Like I said, I know that I met you through one of those great motivational speakers that goes on LinkedIn and everything. And you were talking about how you had been involved in seeing some of your folks doing those kind of like assemblies, but not really feeling any energy. And then when you saw that, you were like, I'm going to give them a real message. So if you can share with George a little bit about what happened and how that all came about.
Awesome. Hey, George, it's good to see you. I are a basketball guy, too. I got to coach with the Denver Nuggets in 2003. Jeff Bidzelik is a good friend of mine. So as far as coaching goes, I got 2 state titles. I got to coach at CU Buffalo, Air Force Academy, the Denver Nuggets. So, man, I'm right with you. And I'm telling you what, I love lemonade. Just saying. Okay. So being in education for 30 years and having 6 children and 50 foster kids, just one day, one of my kids said, "Hey, Pop, will you come to an assembly?" And so I went, and this guy had a captive audience, 1,100 high school kids, and he didn't bring it. These were 1,100 high school kids on their phones the whole time. And I said, I need one opportunity. And so when I left the building, I heard this audible, "You do it." So I stopped everything. I started a nonprofit called Way Beyond Measure 10 years ago. Tomorrow is our birthday. 10 years. And we've been in over 400 schools, 1 million students. We were just igniting kids for SUSO. Stand up, stand out. SUSO. So if you stand up and stand out, then it's going to impact. So I would not just go into schools and speak to them, but I would go into schools and listen.
Yeah.
So they want to know that listen, you can tell them how much you love them, but until you show them, it ain't going to matter. And so God's given me the unique ability to make that happen in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. When you walk into a high school and the principal stares at you and says, "We're having 2 assemblies. There'll be 1,000 high school kids at each assembly, and I'm going to have my officers walking up and down the in the audience and weaving in and out, taking phones. Just keep going, coach. Don't stop." I did 2 assemblies. The principal calls me into his office and goes, "What? What?" He goes, "Dude, all my police officers went and sat down." What? He goes, "How did you do that? How did you do 2 assemblies and nobody moved?" And I don't apologize for that anymore, because it took me 40 years to find out what I needed to do.
I know that's right.
Don't apologize for being amazing. I've had to work. Dude, George, let me share something very, very profound. When I did high school, college, when I got to the professional level as an assistant coach, I was waiting and looking for something dynamic. I was waiting for the whistle to blow to see something different. You know what happened, Kat? Chris Anderson, Carmelo Anthony, Marcus Camby, Boykins, Andrew Miller, Andre Miller, all of them guys, Bidzilic blows the whistle and they get in 2 lines and start doing layups. What are you doing? And so I asked, I said, what? He goes, "This is what we do, practice." And I went, so if I'm teaching high school, I need to let them practice. Do it over. Do it again. 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 Layups. It's repetitive. And so I started teaching that way. Let them grow as fast as they need to, but you need to set out the soil, or you need to prepare that soil. And so Way Beyond Measure was going into schools and making a dynamic impact. And then March came. I was ready to hit all of Northern California. I was going into Oregon, Portland, all that area, and I was going to sweep through there, back into Sacramento, home. Nope. It got done. Nothing. What are we doing? How am I going to get in front of kids? 5 months, I was at home battling my thoughts, battling depression, battling, what am I going to do? I'm a people guy. I'm a minister. I'm a pastor. My testimony is amazing. What am I going to do? He goes, "Hey, coach, what if I told you instead of 1 school a day, you can be in 1,500 a day?" What? Do videos. Oh, snack. Dude. So I have my K through 5th grade series ready to go in a week. Schools aren't going to even know what hit them, because it's all about opening a door for somebody. It's all about mental health that pertains to learning. If we can teach our kids to be ducks in the classroom, they'll obey. We'll teach them to be squirrels in the gym and outside. Ducks in the classroom, squirrels on the playground. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Squirrels don't follow. Squirrels chase the nuts. Do that on the playground. You can't do that in the classroom. It's a taught behavior, guys. And I teach teachers how to make that happen, and they're blown away. So I said all that to say this. WayBeyondMeasure.com needs help. We need help. We're in so many schools and states. We're in the UK. We're in Canada. Dude, it's just the greatest. And Mark, I was given plasma when you wrote me, and I'm like, oh, dude, I got to get to my car. So I started squeezing the ball harder. I want to be on this podcast. Not because of what I have or who I am, but because of who you two are. See, now you don't have an excuse to say, I don't know Coach Verdu and I don't know what he does. Oh, yes, you do. And now I need to know what you do so I can do the same. Hey, George.
Hey, George, he's got a question for you. That we actually, the minister was just bringing up something that I think is very important, which is the concept of faith. And like I said, I know that faith is very important to you as well. So I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about faith and what you're doing with Southern Wicked and the importance of faith to you. I'm sure that Coach Verdu would love to hear that as well.
Yeah, Coach, you started inspiring me there. I mean, I actually was looking down because I was going to waybeyondmeasure.com myself, trying to, already get there and jump on it. It's something I've seen for so long, growing up in Flint, Michigan, and being a part of seeing so many youth that I grew up with, seeing people that never made it out for many different reasons, never was a talent thing. It never was not opportunities there. Seeing the absence of fathers in homes, I've been blessed to have mine. And, seeing a mother and father married 46 years and counting, and those aspects that I've seen missing from other people, even until this day with, youngsters that I deal with individually, it's so needed. What just the things that you started talking about, no matter what pinnacle you get to, when you say you start dealing with the Birdman and Marcus Camby and all these people I know, Andre Miller, know all about all of them. Obviously, is an avid basketball fan, but even there, I'm sure you've seen things that, even if they made it to the pinnacle, which is, the NBA, and they still had things that were missing, and none of it, yes, mentally, and none of it is anything if Christ is not there and God is not there at the at the pinnacle of it and the basis. If you don't have that foundation, I've seen so many people that have had so much, but it's on the outside. People look at them and say, "Wow, you have this, you got this, you've done this," but it's so much missing because that foundation wasn't there. With Southern Wicked, we built it off of it. Naomie, you didn't get to see here. God gave her things and dreams and visions that she brought about. And it was always for her, she had to be careful who you allow, to partake and be a part of those things, because there are people that are looking to take them out, to destroy what you have, even if it's given by God. And they can provide obstacles that you don't need to have there. Because, of course, anything that God gives you and he wants to see it come to and perform, it's going to do so. But there are people that he trust those visions and things too, and obviously what you're building, and birthday coming up tomorrow, 10 years. It's lovely, and I'm like I said, you had me even going and listening, because I've seen the kids. I've dealt with kids from the young ages all the way up to now. I still deal with some of the guys that have experience going overseas, experience some of the the obstacles, and they sit back and think like, man, like, did I do this right? Did I do this correctly? I'm like, first of all, what did you start with? Are you putting in the work? What do you believe? Like, I gotta get in your head to know, first of all, what I'm dealing with. Does everyone believe in God? No, but I have to share with them what I have and the path that I took. I'm like, you might not believe that. I said, it's there. I've dealt with it. I've done it. I can't tell you, what somebody else has done, how they've dealt with it. I've done it. This is the path I took. This is the foundation I've begun with. And these are things that even I experienced over 20 years ago, being in that arena. Some of them are experiencing the same things now. And it's like, okay, let me get you there. And it's like, you have to start. You have to want it. You have to get into this point. Do you pray it all? Like, what do you believe? And a lot of them say, oh, I believe in God. Okay. But do you start there? Do you pray? You ever try to talk to him? You think you know what's best, which so many of our young, men especially think, oh, we got this. We know. They haven't had a direction. They haven't had the fathers there to give them that. So they're constantly trying to prove, I got to prove my worth. I got to prove this and that. And it's so taking so many down from, like I said, my age and going up. I still read, the Flint newspapers, and it's so many men going down, down, down. And even with all of the churches there, it is what gets me. I'm saying so many people that are inside the church, and we're not helping these children. We're not helping these children to the point when they become adults, they're still broken. And if you're still broken, then broken children make broken adults. And then this is where we
much the case and everything. George, I was just wondering your take on Flint, because one of the things I love talking about is things that are going on around the world, and you are from Flint, and that's been a very much of an environmentally hit area. So I'd love to hear your take on what was going on there in Flint, because I know that was a lot of environmental stuff that was happening, and as best I can tell, it's still going on, and there's still some neglect that is happening in a lot of those poor areas, whether it's the water or a number of other things. But I'd love to hear your take on that, as you are still connected to Flint, even though you're in North Carolina now.
Yeah, Mark, it is definitely very dear to me and dear to my heart. Actually, all of my family still resides in Flint. I am the only one that, then I have one cousin, so moved down here, but all of my family is still there, strong roots throughout Flint, the community and all. It's something that's obviously still going on. It's not talked about as a nation. The water issue is still very true, still so many people know, Flint for the water issue, and not really the economy issue that started so many years ago when GM left that city. GM ran the city for so long that, they were the only companies wise. They actually approved anything technology or whatever companies coming into the city because they brought so much revenue into Flint. So GM had to approve anything coming in. So for so long, they didn't allow that because they're like, look, we're bringing this money. And it was true. It was so many. I look at my high school days until now, you look at so many people were doing well. Everybody you knew had family members from parents on down that worked for GM in some capacity. And they were getting these people, my parents and all included. My dad came straight out of high school, 1972. If they come and offer you $17 an hour straight out of high school with no type of experience, you're going to do that instead of going to college. So that's what he had. Even college scholarships there. It's like, we're going to start you at $17 an hour in 1972. And this is what you're going to be doing with no skill set. So many of that, so many people transitioned that way. And I'm talking about over decades. We're not talking about just a few years they did this. And even to the point when I was getting it, coming out of high school in 94, they were still trying to, grab high school students straight out. At that time it was obviously more than the 17 and bring them in like, look, you're going to make this money and you're not going to make this anywhere. You can look for jobs. You're not going to qualify for any job. This, even after you do 4 years of college and you get, in debt, yada, yada, they build you this whole story. And so, they make it very enticing, which a lot of people did. But being that Flint had a union, long story short, they had a union. They looked and pushed for more money. Eventually, GM didn't like it. GM said, "It's the last raise you get," and they decided to move the company out to China. So when they did that, all those people that had no education, no other skill set outside of what they were doing there were out of jobs. You're talking about millions of people. Flint used to be, population was probably about 350,000 back in the 90s. Now you're talking about a population of about 80,000 people. And it's not because of, the city all of a sudden shrunk. It was because there was nothing there. The economy is terrible. The crime goes up with the economy going down. People don't have ways to eat. They're going to look for ways to find a way to eat or to live. So it is dear to my heart. It hurts me still. I actually went there last week and just, kind of drove around to see just the changes and showing my sons, like, this is not, I got pictures of what it used to be and this is what it looks like. And, and to their amazement, they didn't, I've had people from Africa come into Flint and see it. And, they've seen some people living rough in Africa and they couldn't believe that it was people in the United States living like that.
Wow, that's amazing. And one of the things that I've oftentimes, and love to hear from both of y'all, and I also want to bring Russ into the conversation as well, because he's another great motivational person here in the area, but actually he's on the West Coast and everything. So we got all parts of the United States represented and everything. North Carolina is definitely in the house with ties to Flint, with George and everything. But George and Coach Verdu, one of the things that I'm oftentimes, and I've talked about it on the show before, fascinated by is the fact that we ask our athletes all the time to kind of like give back to their community. And sometimes they do. I'm a big fan of what LeBron has done, but then sometimes they don't do as much as I feel that they should do. But I was just wondering your takes on whether the athletes that are making these millions are doing as much as you would like to see them do. So I'll turn that off to you, Coach Verdu, and then I'd love to hear from George as well, because I do know that a lot of times the community at large is expecting these athletes to give back more than they may feel that they're doing. And it's not just the athletes, it's also the entertainers of the world, and in some cases, the entrepreneurs of the world.
You know what? I think that our dilemma is this. Nobody runs to go see a beautiful house being built. However, if that same house was on fire and burning, they're running towards it. So here's what I mean by that. We don't know how many good people are given, but we know how many bad people aren't, because we always focus on the wrong thing. Why do you think Fox and CNN and NBC and stuff make a killing? Because they're making people run to the fire.
Right.
So to answer that question, I can't. All I can explain to you is what I do with nothing.
Yep. And you do a lot with nothing. There's no doubt about that. George, what's your take on it? And then I want to hear from Russ as well. But what's your take on whether the athletes and the entertainers are doing as much as they could be doing in our various communities, particularly in our minority communities?
I think Coach Verdu hit on that key point. The media doesn't run to see what those that are doing things are doing things. There are a lot of athletes, even Rasheed Wallace, even after him and Steven Jackson, they were in Flint. You know, people are not really hearing about it, but they know the water crisis is there. They're still there. They're still doing things, but we don't have the microscope is not on that. Even with LeBron and all that he's done, it's like the media doesn't look to build that component. It's like, okay, he's done that, but let's see what hasn't been done. Let's see what downfall someone can have. Because no one is like Coach Verdu. They're not running to this. Let's run to the light. Like, no, where's this darkness? Let's see this darkness. But the light is LeBron has done some things that are, unprecedented. No one has ever done things as he's done. And I commend him for that. But I think our communities, even with, the economic funds that entertainers and all could bring, there's still so much that individuals living there have to do, because they can come in and do something and they can't stay in that community. So when they leave, what do we do? Do we continue to build from what they brought us to and gave us the foundation, or do we tear that down?
Come on.
Good point and everything. I definitely agree with what you're saying. I did want Russ to talk, because Russ is very much of a motivational person, and definitely faith means a lot to him as well. He's been on my show a couple times. So I know that faith is very important to him, and he definitely always talks about how faith brought him his lovely wife, has brought him his career, including a book with a great title called Befuddled, because he's oftentimes finds that many of us are very befuddled about what's going on in the world and in life in general. And he is a marketing master. So definitely wanted to bring Russ into the conversation as well.
Well, guys, I think you're both just hit the nail right on the head. I mean, George and David, both you guys, the media definitely focuses on the negative. I think there is so many great positive things going on. I think if we would bring those out, it would encourage people a whole lot more and show the great things that are going on, and probably encourage and inspire people that aren't doing it to give more, instead of getting on them for not doing it. Each person has to decide what they're going to do. I think that everybody has a responsibility to their community. We all work together and build each other up and lift each other up. And when athletes or entertainers or whatever have the means to do things, I think it's awesome when they do. But I think if we focused on the positive ones, which I think are so numerous, like you guys said, I think that it would inspire other people to do more, and it would just lift everybody up, because there's way more good going on. I mean, that's the reason the media, it's really hard to watch the news these days. Doesn't matter what channel you turn on, because all you're talking about, like the coach said, is run into the fires, run into the negative things. Instead, why don't we talk about all the people that are doing great things going into the end of this year, into a new year? That would really inspire everybody.
No, I definitely agree with you. And one of the things we were talking about earlier, Russ, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, and then I also want to get to George before he has to bounce in a minute or two. But we were talking earlier about the importance of faith, and I do know that faith does mean a lot to you and everything. So I'd love for you to share with the other gentleman here what faith means to you and why that is so important in your spiritual journey as well.
Well, absolutely. God is the foundation of everything that I do. I've been in ministry for over 30 years. And I worked in music ministry. My family's all really involved with that. And God is the foundation of everything that drives me, the why of my life, why I move forward, why I love to help and give to people. And, God brought me, like you said, Marc, my beautiful wife. I have two outstandingly wonderful adult children. and a daughter-in-law, and I'm blessed. I just think that my whole goal in life is to give and bless other people, help other people out. And if I can inspire and encourage people, I call myself an inspiration specialist because I love to inspire people. I love to inspire people to do great things. And I love being able to work with people like George and Coach that are doing similar things, moving forward, making positive change. And if I can be part of that, that's awesome.
Definitely. George, I know you said you had to bounce off in a matter of minutes and everything, but as I did with Naomie, I was going to do the same with Monica, but she got off before I could get to her and everything. But I always love giving folks an opportunity to share their positive messages that they would like to share with the world. So like I said, there are people of not just the Christian faith, but all kinds of faiths and all over the world that are oftentimes watching our show here, whether it's the online dinner party or some of the other ones that I do on the international broadcast media. So I would love to hear any words of positivity or words of encouragement that you would like to share with our audience.
I would just tell everyone, like you said, there are people that believe many different things. And, I'm not here to crucify anyone there because who I believe in wouldn't do that in his nature. I'm God all the way. I was in church before I took my first breath, and it became more than just church and became a relationship with me personally with God as I grew. And that's where it really became real to me and could live. I mean, my parents are elders, both been over, majority of my life and continue to work in ministry. And I've worked in ministry myself, even to the point, I've been in music ministry, as Russ said, and have done that for many years in Michigan. I just tell everyone, whatever it is that you have a passion to do, you have to put the work in to do it. God gives us gifts, and your gift will make room for you. But when that room is made for you, you have to go and push. You have to make it happen. God is not going to bless us with, we have it and we just sit around. Well, because God did this. God blessed me. I tell people all the time, as a former percussionist, I didn't even own a drum set or anything of that nature. And so many people would get enamored with just the level that I played on. And I said, it was never me because I didn't even practice. I didn't know. It was like, I didn't even know to practice. God gave me a gift to where I would play, and I only played for him. And it was at that time, so many years, and people like, wow, were you here? Will you play for me? Will you do this? I never could because I knew what it was had, and if it would ever try to become me, that it wouldn't be anything that was successful. So anything that you're in, God is always the basis for mine. That's what the platform starts with. If you have that, as your basis, and you go from there and you push and you do your work, you'll always be blessed and you'll be able to bless others. So at the end of the day, that's what it's about, just not only for your benefit, but for those that you can bless through whatever it is God has given you and put your hands to.
Definitely, you gave some very powerful messages right there and everything. Definitely appreciated you, George, for being on along with Monica, and definitely also Naomie as well. But before you bounce and everything, I was going to ask Naomie, but what can folks expect either on the hand sanitizer side, the liquor side, or a number of other sides from a Southern Wicked Lemonade, and where can they find Southern Wicked Lemonade as well as the various other products? So it sounds like every time I turn around, y'all are creating a new product.
Oh, we are. You can find all our sanitizer products now on wickedsanitizer.com. We're already providing those, for businesses and for individuals, and other PPE products, as we continue to deal with this COVID thing in our nation. Going forward, we actually are Wicked Lemonade now. We're in Mississippi, we're in Alabama, we're in Georgia. We've been approved for North Carolina. So you can expect to see us here, county by county, as it comes about. North Carolina is a little different, but in 2021, you can start seeing us coming around, and we'll keep people updated on where to find us in there. We've had a lot of people in support from this area that love to, support us, and we'll make sure they know the good lemonade, as she mentioned, that's coming about. That will be another 2021, as we continue. God gives us that grace and continues to open the doors as he is. And as she said, we have a CBD venture that's supposed to start in March with the sparkling water component. So we're just continuing on, and as those doors open, we'll be happy to share everything that we have with the world. And thank God that he's given us these opportunities.
Appreciate it. Definitely look forward to getting those informations, and hopefully we'll pass that information on here. And definitely, as I always say to all my guests, and Russ can testify to this, once you become a guest on the show, I'm always glad to have you back on a regular basis, because Russ has been on a couple of times. So I'm definitely a big supporter of once I become friends or supporters of folks, I go all in terms of giving that support. So I will also tell you that as well, Coach Verdu, that one of the reasons I wanted you to be able to come was that you share your story and all of that. And definitely I will do what I can to get that word out as well. So definitely I think that you're doing some amazing stuff with the youth, and also just want to let you know that that is something that I am offering as well. But Russ, and I know that he's never heard you and everything, but if you could tell George just a little bit about Befuddled, he would probably be watching off the camera and everything, but if you can just tell him and Coach Verdu about Befuddled and this amazing book that you put together.
Well, I started off really at the beginning of COVID writing this book. It's called Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. And what it's all about is encouraging people that no matter what's coming their way, if they are lacking drive, purpose, intensity, or why in their life, if they are feeling like life is totally befuddling, totally discombobulating, totally messed up, they still can choose the life they get to live. After all of it comes at us, we still get to choose our attitude, our actions, no matter what happens in our life. And sometimes it's not good, and sometimes it is good. And so this book is to encourage people through things that have happened in my life and some actionable steps I give just to live that life and be more intentional about being positive in the midst of everything going on. I really have found in 2020, in a crazy, crazy year, that I have had an excellent year. I've been able to do incredible things. I've been able to meet incredible people like you guys. And do some great new things that I never had a chance to do before. So, I've been blessed, and I just want to pass that on. It's available. The book, again, it's Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. It's available on Amazon and all booksellers. And so, love to have you pick up a copy. And I hope I can encourage you. Also, just a quick note, anybody that wants to connect with me, I know that Coach and I are already connected up on LinkedIn, but russhedge.com. You can go directly to that, and they can schedule time to chat. And I love to chat with people like this. So, thanks for letting me come on again, Mark.
No problem at all. Glad to do that. Coach Verdu, one of the things I was getting ready to ask you is, what are some of the things that you feel that you have learned from the athletes of the world? Because you have had the privilege of coaching everything from like the grade school level on up to those professional athletes as an assistant coach. So what are some of the things that you feel that the athletes have taught you, some of the lessons that you have learned from the athletes?
Wow, that's a great question. I think the main thing is, I don't know if it's a full word or if I'm just making it up, but stick-to-itiveness. It's a mindset of practice when nobody's watching. It's the mindset of, what do you do when you have nothing to do? And so you have to choose your time and make that wise. I have come up with a saying. I think it's a great T-shirt. It hasn't been done yet, but this is a great T-shirt. If practice was meant to be fun, they would have called it a game. See, everybody wants to wear the uniform, but nobody wants to practice.
Right.
You practice more than you play, 45 minutes. The whole week, you put in 40 hours. For the basketball game, you put in 45 minutes. What are you doing outside to perfect? So I'm a motivational speaker. I stare at myself in the mirror and talk. I apologize about that. I need to make sure that what I'm doing and saying is professional, proven, purposeful, to the point. And when you're dealing with kindergarten all the way to death, you got to have an array or a range of motion or age group. You have to understand where you are and what you're going to say. These athletes have a mindset that says never, ever, ever quit. Keep going, keep moving, keep shaking. There are, I'm going to say, there's 80% of the athletes are natural. They're just wonderful. They can play. So my daughter Samantha says, I want to play soccer. Bam! She's a great soccer player. My son Sean, I want to play soccer. You got to work at it a little bit. But he gets better. And he's a tremendous athlete. And so what do you do when you're not that good? So, for instance, Shaq, he was the best center and just motivated and stuff. But there's 3 seconds left on the clock. Who you having shoot the free throws?
Not Shaq.
Why?
He was not that great at shooting free throws. Because he didn't practice.
1,000 a day.
Wow.
I know what it was. He already said what it was.
Mindset?
Yes, because he was always told you suck at free throws. You tell a guy he sucks long enough that he's going to suck. I want to share this too. I've been a pastor also for over 30 years and done ministry. And you talk about faith. And I'll never forget 1991 when I was going through Bible college, I heard this saying about faith. It's the unshakable confidence in the character of God, period. I want that to resonate because faith is key right now because everyone feels alone. And I can prove to you that you are not alone. You're never alone. Max Lucado has a wonderful book out right now called You're Never Alone. And I've been able to listen to him. I've been able to call him. I've been able to midrash. Midrash means the Jewish term for taking apart and putting back together. That's a fun day. That's a day that I can speak my mind and you can come back because as pastors and ministers, I always tell them, don't take my word for it. Look it up. This is something that I sat down with on Friday and came up with the scriptures and words because I feel it's a word for us at the church, but don't take my word for it. Find out from the Holy Spirit. Find out from God. If it resonates with you, then we move forward. So to answer your question, I think every athlete has a mindset of win. Every athlete has a mindset of I'm not giving up and I want to get to this point. It's those kids that tell me, oh, I'm just too tired. Kobe Bryant used to get up at 3:15 in the morning and was in the gym by 3:45. Wow. Every morning. Not some, every morning. I like that reporter that went up and said, dude, I'd like to join you for the day. How can we? He goes, well, just meet me at practice at 4 o'clock. He goes, wow. He goes, that's late. And he goes, no. AM.
AM. That PM. AM.
He pulls into the parking lot and the lights are already on and he hears boom, boom, boom. He walks in and Kobe's already sweating. Wait. Oh, no, I got here at 3:15.
Wow. Coach Verdu, you actually brought up some things that got me curious about a couple of things that I oftentimes talk about, even sometimes on this platform, because I'm of the opinion that a lot of religions all share the same philosophy, which is basically we all want to respect our parents, love one another, the number of other principles that I could elaborate on. But I would say that there's probably like 5 or 6 core principles of all of the world's religions. But unfortunately, I sometimes feel that too often, and I would like to hear from both you, Coach Verdu, and Russ, that sometimes too often our ministers don't understand that you don't always have to go through the path of, say, Christianity, because there are a lot of folks that are spiritual that are Hindu. There are a lot of people that are spiritual that are Muslim, but they all have a belief in a higher power and in God. They may not have a difference of opinion as to which prophet is higher or not, like which in the hierarchy of prophecies. Or prophets, I should say, but the core beliefs, I think, are the same. And I was just wondering your thoughts on that and how you deal with people of different faiths.
Are you up, Russ?
Well, I can go first if
go
you
ahead,
want.
Russ. Not that
all
one,
right,
Russ.
So,
go.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Coach. Hey, so listen, this is what I think. I believe in a God who loves all people. I think that there are differing opinions, And I can definitely tell you my opinions, but I think there are a lot of commonalities and things, but there are also some very distinct differences, I believe. And being a Christ follower and being very strong in my faith, I have my definite feelings that there is one God, and that, that everybody has got their opinions about things, but the God that I believe in wants me to love everybody, no matter what they believe, because it's their choice to accept him, to be in relationship with him. It's not me telling them what's right and wrong. It's them choosing to be with him. And I think in the ministry, it's important that we stand for what we believe, but at the same time, we need to love people and make sure that, people know that God loves them, and then they make that choice. So where there are common things, there are definitely specific differences as well. And I just try to reach out and show people the love that Jesus would show. And that is how I live my life.
Oh, great attitude. What about you, Coach Verdu?
Love the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. I also know that you need to love your neighbor as yourself.
Amen.
And don't stop there, because at the end of that, we stop. It says also obey the commandments. Why do we stop? Anyways, that's a whole different show. Love. Love is what Jesus brought. Love is the ultimate. Love your neighbor. We all talk about a motto of church or businesses is, hey, would you do me a favor and just do unto others as you would do unto you?
Right.
And I will not talk religion with anybody, because you'll kick my butt. And here's why. I don't study religion. I study relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference.
Yep.
You look up religion, it says bondage. I'm not bond. I'm so free, it's not even fun. I'm too free, Russ. I still make dumb decisions. I'm too free. Pull the chain, do something. But see, that's the uniqueness, and that's the greatness of who we are. We choose you this day whom you will serve. Because I promise you, if I'm in front of a Muslim, or if I'm in front of a Hebrew, if I'm in front of a whatever, Buddha, I don't care. Dude, give me a high five, belly bump. Woo, snoogie. Why not? I promise you I'll make you laugh. And I promise you I will never embarrass you. And I promise you when I'm done, you'll go, I like that guy. That's the bottom line. He never mentioned Jesus or God. All I know is there's something about that cat that's different. And when you get that, then you need to make sure that you are really, really good to go. Russ, when Jesus departed, he said, greater things will you do. Can you, with me, believe that on a sunny day, you and I walk down the street and our shadow affects people?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Why? When?
Well, it's because we serve an amazing God, and people need to remember that when, people try to put them in a hierarchy of where people are, and people need to remember that all have sinned and fallen short, and that we all are imperfect, and we're all trying to be better. But we all serve a God who is perfect, and that is already paid the price for us. And so, yes, a God who is love, just like Coach said. And, that's why not only do we love our neighbor, but we love the unlovable. And that's what we need to be all about.
Yeah, because one of the things that I know a good friend of mine has talked about on his show, and he's actually involved in the funk music community, and I think he would consider himself more spiritual than religious. And I know that that's in a whole different conversation as to whether there's the difference or not a difference between those two words and everything. But one of the things that he oftentimes talks about is that whether it's at a concert or at a sporting event, that's those kind of individuals where we don't know what the person's religion is, their orientation is. I mean, we may know just the fact of, if it's the music, we're there to hear that great music together and to share that music. And if there's any kind of opposition in the sporting things. It's just a matter of whether you're for my team or against my team. But it's not the whole thing about whether you're straight, gay, whether you're this orientation or that orientation, whether you're black, white, purple, or whatever, whether you're an alien or not. They could care less. They just want to make sure, are you really for my team or against my team?
Yeah.
So definitely, I think that those are some great environments that we need to have more of. And I know right now, because of COVID, we're not seeing as much of that going on. And by the way, I was going to tell you that this good friend of mine, Zach, we were actually earlier talking today about the Jets, because he's a diehard Jets fan, and he was saying that he's hoping that they get Bill Cowher, and he named one of the Harbaugh brothers as a possible coach and everything. I'm actually thinking that Coach Verdu, you need the job. I'm thinking you need to be the coach of the Jets.
If I had the Jets, I promise you more than 2 wins. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
And when you get in there and I love going for sports interviews, because they used to always ask me, what offense you going to run? What defense you got? Here's my response. What players you giving me? Gotcha. I'm not going to run the Princeton offense with the Twin Towers.
Right.
I'll play high-low. I'll play corners. I'll play whatever I can do to get my big guys in the paint, right? If I'm Golden State Warriors, I'm going to move, bob, and weave.
Yeah.
But who do I got? That's the same thing with all of – what do we got? Do you know how many high fives I've given at football games and basketball games because of a touchdown or a home run, and you belly bump and you hug people you don't know? I've never had anyone ask, are you a Christian? And then give me a high five. No, we just scored. It's a high five. It's a whatever. It's incredible that we can go to a stadium, and if the people are wearing your same uniform and stuff, it's a good thing. And a lot of people have much, much respect for the other team. A lot of people do, except LA. Never mind. That's a joke. Bad joke.
That was a bad joke. But there's a lot of folks that don't care about LA. Now, I did root for the Clippers. I'm going to tell you, Coach Verdu, I just got to let you know, I did root for the Clippers back last season, because there are certain sports that I root for because I actually like the team and have always been a lifelong fan. I am a diehard, and I will always say this, I'm a diehard Vikings fan. I became a Vikings fan in the Fran Tarkenton days. I stayed a Vikings fan. So I love the Vikings, and I will stay with them. There are certain teams around here. Being from Carolina, I'm a Durham Bulls fan. A lot of folks will recognize that because of the baseball. Definitely a fan of my alma mater, Marquette, and definitely a fan of theirs, a fan of teams that have come here. So I've become a fan like the Carolina Panthers and the Charlotte basketball team, the Bobcats, and things along that line. But then there are certain teams that I become fans of because of individuals. I had the privilege of going to school with Doc Rivers. So I rooted for the Celtics when he coached for the Celtics. I rooted for the Clippers last year and the few years that he was coaching for the Clippers. I am now rooting for the 76ers because I want Doc to get one more ring. I need him. Didn't get any as a player, but I need him to get – he has a couple of All-Star appearances, and I need him to get 2 championships before he retires.
Come on. That'd be awesome. And I'm from the Bay Area, so I'm a San Francisco 49er. I'm a Giant fan. I'm a Warrior. We've had some great runs and some good things, and it's nice to be able to cheer for something as long as you don't, make it your all in all or your altar. Just have fun with it. Don't get so wrapped up that you're going to start pointing out people and blame them and stuff. I like what some coaches say that I've worked with, that, you know what, that's okay. We lost that game. There's plenty of more games. No, that's not a very good mindset. We have to make things better from the last game and do something better than we did the first game. That's improvement. Improvement is taking what you messed up on and redoing it. Failure doesn't mean anything but a first attempt in learning. I want you to write that down. FAIL, first attempt in learning. Keep growing. Don't stop just because you fail. Let's talk about it. Abe Lincoln, when he was 24 years old, wanted to be president.
Wow.
Took him 8. So 8 times 4 is what?
8 times 4 is 32 years.
So 32 more years, right? So he was now in his late 50s when he became president.
Wow.
Oh, and while he was about to become president, his wife died. Oh, and while his son died, smallpox. His wife dies, he marries another lady. Everyone thinks that he is a turd because he married her less than a year later.
Mm.
Don't think that failure ends you. Failure launches you because it's your first attempt in learning. Now learn from it and move forward with it.
Coach, I love the John Maxwell statement, fail forward, because we are all failing through life, and failure is learning. Failure is a launching pad to move us to greatness. And that's exactly right, because that if we are not pushing it enough to be failing, we're doing something wrong. We're just sitting on our hands doing nothing. And just like you were talking about our God-given gifts, they don't just operate on their own. We actually have to do things. We have a God who's given us free will. And so when we're moving forward and failing, we're doing something. Something great is around the corner, because if we're doing it right, we're learning every step of the way. And then that's just one step away from something great happening.
That's so good. And it also is, I like that you said you have to practice or whatever. Here's what I do. I put on. Say that. Put on. Put on. So what are you putting on? I put on joy. I put on holiness. I put on loveliness. I put on grace. You know what a lot of people are doing? I put on depression. I put on loneliness. I'm going to put on, because I'm going to heap these things on me. So we have to get to them and let them know that same put on of the negatives, you can do the same thing with the positive. It's going to take you about 25 days to really get it, because you've been doing the negative for 40 years.
Right. It's the changing of your mindset.
It talks about that in the Word of God. It says, to dig in, to renew the places in your mind that are cobwebbed or fogged up. Yeah. And say that slowly, fogged up. Don't say it too fast, because you might get in trouble. Anyways, so yeah, man, I'm excited that we were able to talk about this and share, because, during this time, we talk about the November and then December, beginning week of Thanksgiving to the end of the year. Everybody look out for everyone, because it's that time of year that people are hurting and depressed, and there's more. Stop with that stuff. It's all year round. It's not just November to the end of December, because January 1 is coming.
January 1's coming, and I would argue that a lot of people are already having, and I would love to hear both of y'all's thoughts on this, and I know you got to bounce to a little bit, Russ, and you might have to as well, Coach Verdu, but I think that a lot of folks are already having a defeatist attitude about the year coming up. And yes, we've got COVID in March, and it definitely has been tearing us up ever since the majority of 2020. But I know a lot of industries, like even entertainment industries and restaurants and others, are already planning not to open until August or September or October. And some of that, I guess, is good planning. But then I also wonder if some of it isn't us being overly defeatist. But I would love to hear your thoughts on that. So I'll start with you, Russ.
Yeah, I totally agree that people, there's people looking at it both ways. For some people have been wishing away 2020 when they could be doing awesome things right now, waiting for another time to come. And you can't wish your life away. You can't look for better days ahead and look past what's happening right now, because right now is where you're living. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, number one. Number two, the people that are looking at things so negatively have to step back and realize COVID's not going anywhere, and all the things that are going on, we need to learn how to adjust, operate, and be positive within that. Have a good mindset no matter what is happening. We need to learn to, I'm blessed with a positive filter. So I filter everything through positive lens, which helps me. But if people are not made that way, they can still make that choice to actually filter things through the positive filter and look at things in a better way, because the negative life and the negative mindset, as Coach was talking about, only hurts you, the person that is actually having that attitude. So I want to leave you with one point because I have to go here in 30 seconds. And that is, you're both awesome. I appreciate being on. This year's been so good because of people like you that are getting positive words out, that are connecting with people in a positive way and are making good things happen. And so I appreciate both of you. And I thank you for letting me be on. Got to run to another meeting. So have a happy new year.
Do the same.
Bless,
You have a
buddy.
great New Year's.
Russ,
Appreciate
let's catch
you.
up next week. God bless you, buddy.
You too, man. We'll see you later.
Later.
Bye.
Bye. So I guess I'll answer that question by saying, what do you have right now and what are you doing with it?
Right.
So everybody has something that they can do, but not everybody knows what to do. See, when I worked at the Boys Ranch, we had 500 at-risk kids from 7 years old to 18 years old. And when they got through that system, they would be put and sent to college or given a little bit of money and a good luck. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I've come to a conclusion that we don't need any more children ranches or children places. I love them. They're the best. And I love that they're around. We need parent farms. Would you agree? Do we need to teach parents how to parent?
Yep. We're not teaching parents how to parent. That's very true. And we still got to learn how to do that on a regular basis because we're not doing that in any form or fashion. And I would argue that I don't know how much we've got the parents involved in the school system because I know that that's something that you have definitely got involved in. So I would love to hear your thoughts as to ways we could even get the parents involved in the school system because I don't feel that the parents are involved enough. My brother actually works with at-risk youth, and I've got 2 nephews. So I know he's involved in his school system, and his lady friend is because she's got 2 kids of her own and everything. One is in college and one that's I think that Jack is maybe like around. See, my nephews are 11 and 12. Jack might be like around 14 or 15. So he's a little bit older than they are. But
okay. You know what? As a parent, first off, for those parents that are doing everything that in their power to make sure that their children are safe and they're doing the things that they're called to do, I just give you kudos. And to those that are hurting and struggling, there are resources and things that you can reach out and you can get some help. I know it's not easy. I know it's a hard situation. A lot of people turn to the church for help. I'm going to tell you something. The church, they ain't got nothing right now. I'm just saying. I mean, they got a spiritual guide for you. They got some things. I used to listen. I've had large churches, 4,000, 3,000, 7,000, and I used to tell my people, it's very simple. Pay attention. When there's a knock on your door, go answer the door and say, "May I help you?" And if there is a man there with young children that say, "My car's right there. My wife and youngest daughter are in the car, and we're cold, and we just ran out of gas." And you have a thought of this is really sincere. Why would I run into the house and get a Bible and hand him a Bible? That Bible, 1, it's not going to keep him warm.
Wow.
2, it's not going to feed him physically. Jesus always led with physical, never spiritual, physical. Get out of the boat. Hey, do we have any fish and loaves? Yes, physical. Now he does the Beatitudes after everyone is what? Full. He was the best youth pastor because he fed them first. Every time. Physical, spiritual. Natural, spiritual. In that order.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying that even some of these churches, and I agree that a lot of them are struggling themselves and everything, but those that have the resources, that if they have those resources, they should actually provide folks with housing if they're able to do that and things along those lines, because there are some of those mega churches that can, not all of them. I mean, the smaller churches definitely can.
Right. And what I'm saying with that is just don't run to the church. There's other places that you can go. We think that that's our safe place. They have to give. Listen, I know churches that wouldn't give you a nickel and run you through a ringer.
Wow.
listen, but don't mistake that church for Christ. It
Right.
ain't. Don't mistake a religion for the person or whatever it is that you believe in. There's Buddhist temples that are jacked up, and some Buddhists are like, I can't. I'm not going over to that one.
Right.
It's not the building, it's the people in the building. Do they get it, or are they missing it? And unfortunately, there's a lot of churches that are missing it. And I'm not here to condemn anybody. What I'm here to say is open your eyes. Open your eyes. There's
Speaking of
plenty.
opening your eyes, I was curious, and I've seen this happen here in North Carolina, which is where I'm at. I'm sure it happens in California where you are, but what do you say to those folks that have almost that opposite experience where they will go and somebody will come and request money or request that they give them money and give them what I call the sob story, but then when they turn around and try to do that giving thing, I won't even call it the Christian thing, but that giving thing of taking them to get the food and everything, that person is trying to get the money and they're probably trying to get the money for something negative, they then get a little bit of an attitude.
Oh, yeah. I'll share a story with you. So I am from California. I live in Arkansas now, so I'm not too far from you, really.
Okay.
So I'm in Weed, Arkansas, or Weed, California. It is an absolute place. It's Weed, Weed, California. And I'm at a church there, and I get there as a young 28, 27-year-old, 3 children already. And we get there and he says, okay, not only are you going to help with worship, but you are going to do children and youth, and you'll be the benevolence pastor. How am I what? The benevolence pastor. It took me a year to even say it. What do I do? He goes, people are going to knock on our door and going to ask you for stuff. And this is what we got. We have some clothing in Lost and Found, and we bring in clothes, and so they can go and rummage through that. We have a $50 gift card that they can go to the shopping mall and get food. No, it says no liquor, no, and we have an agreement with them. We also have a voucher for them to go sleep one night at a hotel room. You just give them the voucher and they go. So we get this knock on the door, and I go down, and he needs money. And I knew that it was wrong in the first place. He smelled drunk, and I just felt bad. Sorry, I can't give anything to you. As a matter, I said, if you're hungry, I can get you some food if you need some clothes. The dude tried to drop me. He punched me right in the jaw, man. Bam!
Wow.
Dude, I become unchristian. I got 9 brothers, and I'm from San Francisco. Dude, I got him on the ground so fast. And so it was bad, man. My senior pastor, what are you doing? I said, I'm being the benevolence pastor. What are you doing? He wants something, and he hit me in the face. And he goes, get up off of him. And I went, well, we ain't giving him anything now. That's done. We ended up doing something for him anyways. The point is this. Mick Jagger said it the best. You can't always get what you want, but you can get what you need. There's plenty of need. It's the want.
Oh, yeah.
I want, what did you want the money for? So I can buy drugs or alcohol. That's a want. That's not a need. What do you need? And we will fill that need. What you want isn't what you always get. So my daddy would tell me this. It's not what you want that will make you fat. It's what you get.
Wow.
Eat it and be happy, right?
Exactly. That makes a lot
I go
of
to
sense.
houses now where the children are in charge and they can eat whatever they want. There is no more family dinner. There's no more. What do you? I want Pop-Tarts. Okay, really? I don't understand the mindset of adults now that it's been flip-flopped. I wish take you. I want to go to North Carolina and go into an elementary school and take you with me and have you sit
I
down
would
with
love to do that. We
kids
would
there.
make all kinds of changes. There's no doubt about that and everything. One of the things that you mentioned when you did that assembly was the social media. And I know we've had a couple of shows,
Oh,
even with some of our wellness shows, and it just seems that our kids and even our adults, and even I can sometimes be guilty of it myself, are glued to social media. So what message do you give to folks to get them off of that social media? Not saying that they can't be social with the media, but I do sometimes think that we overuse it and all of that. And I remember a friend of mine when I was at Marquette, and I don't even know if he's still living or even around this planet at this time or not. But I remember when the Walkman first came out, he called it bourgeois selectivity. And I would argue that we're probably in the middle of that now with all the social media. But I was just wondering what your thoughts are on social media and how we can use it as a positive, as you're doing and as I do on this platform and others, but also curtail it when it needs to be curtailed.
First off, I think that social media should have a restriction, just like movies, because it's getting bad. Now, it really, the bottom line is parents have got to parent. There are so many filters and so many things that you can do. If you want, listen, my kids ain't getting on social media until I know that they're going to be responsible enough to be able to do that. The problem is now is no parents want to deal with anything. So put them in the corner, give them a phone, no one talks.
Wow.
There was a stat back 10 years ago that women have to get out 22,000 words a day. And men were at like 8. That's changed. It's down by like 10,000 for women. What? Why? Because you're on your phone. Your phone is your new communicator. And you know how safe you are on your phone? Dude, you can't touch me. Hey, Marc, you cannot hurt me.
That's true.
You can't touch me. If I said anything right now and you hung up on me, what? Really?
You're not.
That's
I'm
what
in North
people.
Carolina. It's not like they could do a lot of things right now at all. And plus, nobody wants to get on a plane in the first place.
I mean, my son he's 25 years old. He goes, man, I'm so excited I have a girlfriend. What? I've never seen her. I know. She lives in Cincinnati. What? Yeah,
Wait
we
a minute.
FaceTime. Have you
Lives in
ever been?
Arkansas, but his girlfriend
Yeah,
lives in
I
Cincinnati.
don't understand the general. Like, what? So, how's that working out? Does she brush her teeth? I mean, what? What? How? We're in a social media day where you can have reach out and touch someone is ridiculous. And boys and girls right now feel safe. I don't know why they do, of flashing parts or something. What?
Man.
It's safe. Nobody can touch you. You can do things if you don't have your face in the mirror, right?
That's true.
It's asinine, and we don't have parents stepping up to the plate. We have parents buying bigger materials. I mean, I had 5-year-olds on Facebook saying how excited they were because they got a 45-inch smart TV for their bedroom. What?
Wow.
They're 6.
They're how old? You said they're how old?
About 6 years old. And they're getting TVs, and they're getting, the new cell phone is happening at like 9-10 years old. Cell phone, no restrictions because parents are derelicts and they just don't get it or they don't want to. Just go on to social media and type in rude and watch a little 7-year-old call his mom by her first name and tell her to.
Wow.
I want to try that on my mom.
If your mom is like my mom, she would knock you out. And my mom is at 80, but she's almost 80, and she would knock the living daylights out of me.
So would my mother. And I know that I'd be able to take it. However, we don't want to disappoint our mothers. There's a difference. I'd rather get beat by my father than disappoint my mother. Do you get that? Because my dad will just hit you 3 times with the belt. Whack, whack, whack. Oh. But to disappoint your mother for a whole day? Oh, gosh. My heart hurt. I hurt my mom. Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't have that now. There is no hurt. There is this just, I don't give a crap. It's me, my feelings, me. What about me?
Wow.
And buddy, I gotta take off here. It's dark, and
well, I appreciate you, and definitely I'll get ready to wrap up. I do a mystery thing where I bring on some mystery guests at the end, so I can definitely lie down the show with my trivia thing that I do toward the end. But as I did with the other folks, I would love to have you give your final words of positivity, your final words of encouragement, and then I can take it on out from there.
Oh, you got it, buddy. So, guys, this is your Way Beyond Measure Minute with Coach. Do you understand that there's only 2 things that super matter? 2 things. 2 things come from your mouth. 2 things come from your text. 2 things come from your chat. 2 things come from communication. 2 things come from engagement. Phone, social media, whatever it is. You ready for these?
What are those 2 things?
Life and death. Now think about it. We can speak life, which we were doing all this time. I didn't get hurt. As a matter of fact, I'm on fire. I am spilling over with life and ooze and stuff. However, if this was a sad and hurting conversation, it was about me coming into the principal's office and all the negativity and hurt, that is going to be painful. And to me, it's death because it's not causing growth. Whatever you do, whatever you say, whatever you text, and whatever you play, do it with a mindset of think. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Right there. Think. Pause for a second. Pausing doesn't mean that all pausing means is that you're waiting to enhance the atmosphere. And pause is wonderful. 2 things, life and death. Are you building or are you destructing? Marco, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate your time, and I love what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and I definitely hope that folks will get out there and support this amazing work that you're doing, and that you can get out in front of all of these students that deserve to hear this powerful message of yours on a regular basis. So I'm definitely hoping that this outlet will get you some support, and I'm definitely glad to have you on, and hopefully I can get you back on, just like I've had Russ a couple of times. I would love to have you come back on as well. Know that you're always welcome to share your stories, to share your faith, to share your positive energy, and to share your stories of even the work in the athletic field and a number of other things that you have shared with us today. So definitely you've given a lot of enlightenment and a lot of thought, and I'm glad, as I've told Russ before, I will now count you along with Tim Sohn and Brian Schulman as some of my new friends from the world of LinkedIn and everything. So definitely consider you to be one of my new friends, and look forward to having more conversations with you on a regular basis.
You have no idea what my heart just dumped twice, baby. Dude, I so appreciate that. Listen, I hate doing life alone, and with somebody of your caliber, dude, I'm all in. So if you ever need your bags carried, call Verdu. I'll carry them for you, buddy.
That's Sounds great. I appreciate you.
All right, bud.
All right.
God bless you now. Have a great day.
You too. Appreciate Coach Verdu there. He gave some great and powerful thought. My buddy Zach will be glad to know that he's interested and would do a better job with the Jets than that current coach would. So he said he would definitely have more than 2 wins, but he did not say whether he would back the ones that Zach was talking about whether that's Bill Cowher or whether that's Harbaugh or one of the other ones. But he did say that he would do a much better job than 2 wins. And with that kind of coaching attitude that he was sharing with us, I believe that he would. I believe that he would definitely do a much better job than that, and would probably even be a better coach for my Minnesota Vikings as well as the Carolina Panthers. So I don't know if anybody's out there wanting to get another coach, or even if Coach Verdu wants to get back into coaching. Sounds like he wants to do more motivational speaking, and he's doing a job with that motivation. Speaking. I know that on this show we always have our mystery guests, and I'm about to reveal those mystery guests before the end of this show. But one of the clues about our mystery guest is this particular clue, which is that her mother, Diana Jimenez Medina, is an opera singer and a talent scout. So that's one of the clues, is that her mother is an opera singer and a talent scout. So you might want to keep that in mind as one of the clues of this particular person that I am looking for. Also, a little bit about her father. Her father is apparently also a major person in the oil industry. Her father is an oil company executive and owner of an industrial equipment firm, who once ran for mayor of Codescalas. Well, I totally mispronounced that word, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce it again. But it's a town somewhere in Latin America that he tried to run for and all of that. And raised in a wealthy, devout Roman Catholic family, she was sent to the Academy of the Sacred Heart in Grand Coteau, Louisiana, USA, at the age of 12. And in school, she was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD. So in school, she was diagnosed with those as well. And she attended a university in Mexico City, where she studied international relations at the Universidad Iberoamericana, and she began her career in doing things in Mexico. She began her career in Mexico, starring in the telenovela Teresa, and starred in the film El Callejón de los Milagros, which apparently means Miracle Alley, for which she was nominated for an Ariel Award. So that's a little bit about this particular mystery guest and all. In 1991, she moved to Hollywood and came to prominence with roles in movies such as Desperado in 1995, Dogma in 1999, and The Wild Wild West in 1999. So 2 of those movies were in 1999. And she had a breakthrough role, which was in the 2002 film Frida, as Mexican painter Frida Kahlo, for which she was nominated in the category of Best Actress for an Academy Award, a BAFTA Award, and the Screen Actors Guild Award. And she won a Daytime Emmy. She won a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Directing in a Children and Youth Family Special in 2004 for the Maldonado Miracle, And she also guest starred on a NBC comedy series, 30 Rock, and she did that from 2009 to 2013. And she received an Emmy Award. That's right. She received an Emmy Award nomination for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series in 2007 after guest starring in the ABC television comedy drama Ugly Betty. And her name means peace or calm in Arabic. That's right. It means peace or calm in Arabic. And by the way, she does have some descendants kind of heritage in that community as well, because she does have some heritage that is tied to Lebanon as well. So I will put that as another clue out there for you. She does have some heritage tied in to Lebanon. Recent films of hers have included Grown Ups, which is in 2010, Puss in Boots in 2011, Grown Ups 2 in 2013, and Tale of Tales in 2015. And as a child, her grandmother regularly shaved her head and eyebrows because she thought it would make her hair grow thicker, glossier, and darker. And after having seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in 1971 in a local movie theater, she decided she wanted to become an actress. And apparently she's involved in a lot of things. When she's not busy filming, she likes watching Mexican soccer, practicing Krav Maga, which, by the way, I know somebody locally that's involved in that. That's right. My boss over at the Hedge Heritage Center, Angela Lee, her daughter, Jamie, is involved in this martial arts as well. It is the official self-defense system of the Israeli military, and spending time with Valentina. So that's some of the things that she likes doing when she's not being busy and all of that. She is very fond of animals. She turned her house into a shelter for stray animals. And right now she's got a whole bunch of animals. So right now she says that right now she houses, she homes 5 parrots, 1 cat without a tail that was rescued by one of her 10 dogs, 4 ducks, 20 chickens, 5 horses, 2 guinea pigs, and 4 alpacas. So she's got a whole lot of things in her house in terms of the animals. I mean, it sounds like one crowded house. I know that Zach sometimes teasingly calls me Dr. Doolittle. I think that this particular person may be the real Dr. Doolittle or Dr. Doolittleist, as it is definitely a lady and all. Her favorite movies are It Happened One Night, The Graduate, Gone with the Wind, and Casablanca. Those are her favorite movies and all of that. And her on-screen sex scene with actor Colin Farrell in Ask the Dust won her the highly desired Best Nude Scene Award in 2006. And I've got some quotes from this person as well, so let me see what these quotes are. People always underestimate me, but if you stick around long enough, act out of conviction, and try to be honorable in everything you do, good things will come to you. Definitely agree with that, and definitely that is some great advice and all of that. No woman has to be a victim of physical abuse. Women have to feel like they are not alone. Women have to feel like they are not alone. And she was definitely a supporter and a big fan of her grandmother. She said her grandmother was very energetic and fearless, a talented poet and songwriter. She was also interested in chemistry and history and medicine, taking care of the people in her hacienda in Mexico. So definitely taking care of folks in Mexico. And while she was doing that, she was also delivering babies. She could have become anything, but this was the 1930s, and she was forced into an arranged marriage. She also says, I have never denied my background or my culture. I have taught my children to embrace their Mexican heritage, to love my first language, Spanish, to learn about Mexican history, folk, art, food, and even the Mexican candy that she grew up with. So definitely she's acknowledging her own kind of heritage and all of that. She said, I have had to endure the worst time of all in terms of racial discrimination in Hollywood. When I first started out, it was inconceivable to American directors and producers that a Mexican woman could have a lead role. And she also said something, we were talking about spirituality earlier, and she said something about that as well. She said, you can have a spiritual awakening and discover a new side of you at any age. And best of all, love can happen at any age. You can have a spiritual awakening and discover a new side of you at any age. Life can just start to get exciting when you're in your 40s and 50s. You have to believe that. And she also said, I'll tell you, there is nothing better in life than being a late bloomer. I believe the success can happen at any time, at any age. And, we just had Santa Claus just pop in recently, and she says, I'm concerned about my daughter because she will not believe in Santa Claus. No matter what I say to her, she just doesn't buy it, and she's 2. And I believe that daughter is actually older than that right now. People often say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I say that the more liberating thing about beauty is realizing that you are the beholder. This empowers us to find beauty in places where others have not dared to look, including inside ourselves. And this is what she told the ladies of the world. You can be 1,000 different women. It's your choice which one you want to be. It's about freedom and sovereignty. You celebrate who you are. You say, this is my kingdom. And definitely, I know a lot of women that would definitely agree with that kind of thought of it being their kingdom and all of that. So that's one of the clues of that particular mystery guest. So if y'all are watching and having the ideas who this mystery guest may be, just type it into the comments. Let me know who you think the mystery guest may be, and I will gladly share with you whether you are right or wrong. But that is one of our mystery guests that we will be revealing in a matter of a few minutes or so on this particular episode. The other guest that folks may be interested in is this particular gentleman. He was a prolific American inventor of the 20th century. That's right, a prolific American inventor of the 20th century. And no, it's not the one from last time. So it is not Mr. Edison. It is somebody totally different than that. So definitely it is not Mr. Edison. So I can tell you that it's definitely not Mr. Edison. Cannot tell you who it is, but I can tell you who it is not. It is not Mr. Edison. So definitely keep that in mind. Tell me who you think it could be and all of that. And I'm going to give some more clues as well. So one of those things is he wrote several books, including this book entitled Vision by Radio, Radio Photographs, Radio Photograms, and The Boyhood of an Inventor. And he received an honorary degree from Earlham College in Richmond, Indiana, his alma mater. So he definitely received that from his alma mater. And he was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 2011. So he was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 2011. So definitely keep that in mind that he was invented in that category. And I've got people that are trying to guess and everything. I've got my buddy watching the show, so I appreciate that. Brother Mike is working, and he's got a quote that says, I believe that, let's see what he said. I believe that beauty is not the outer look, but a good, pure heart and with good character. So I appreciate Brother Mike for popping in and sharing those thoughts with us and all of that. So I'm going to go back and give y'all some more clues as to what is going on with our guests and our mystery guests and all of that. And I think that folks will be interested in all of that. So he held over 400 patents in his lifetime and was awarded many honors, including the Elliott Crescent Media in 1897 and the John Scott Medal in 1913. There is also a plaque commemorating the place where he demonstrated the first movie to his friends and family in Indiana. And this particular person was born in Dayton, Ohio, grew up near Richmond, Indiana, where he went to school, and went to Washington, D.C. in 1890, where he worked as a stenographer. So keep all of that in mind. He worked as a stenographer. In 1898, he invented the first automobile with the engines in the front of the car. In 1901, he constructed the smallest car for the 26-inch tall Cuban performer Chiquita, like the banana. So definitely he did that. He constructed a small car for that person. And he was also involved with television. So in 1928, his television corporation opened the first televised broadcasting station in the U.S. named W3XK, which went on the air on July 2nd. That's actually a day after my birthday, but many years before my birthday, and first sent from his labs in Washington. So he first sent a signal from his labs in Washington. At first, the station could only send silhouette images due to its narrow bandwidth, but that was soon rectified and real black and white images were transmitted. So definitely he was involved in that. And so he was involved in this particular industry and all of that. He also established a, let's see if I got other clues for you. Yes. He established a research laboratory in Washington along with a few friends and began working towards the development of a device called the phantoscope. The phantoscope. This apparently was an early version of a motion picture camera, which is now found in most cinemas today. And by 1924, he had finished constructing the device and demonstrated it in front of his fans and family at his cousin's jewelry store in Indiana. So he demonstrated what he was doing at that time. And this was arguably the first movie shown in history. The images showed a dancer's performance, which Jenkins projected on the wall. So I just gave you his last name, but that's all right. I still don't think y'all will figure out who he is. They later sold these rights to Thomas Edison, who marketed and popularized its use in the development of motion pictures, which is why Edison is sometimes mistakenly assumed to be the inventor of movies. But Edison is not the inventor of movies. It is actually this gentleman and all of that. And let's see what else they said. Yep, so that's a little bit about this particular person and all of that. So I hope that y'all were able to think about who this could be, and maybe y'all can figure out who our two mystery guests will be and all of that. So I will be revealing these mystery guests in just a matter of a few minutes or everything, but do know that they were involved in both motion pictures as well as apparently phonographs and radio, and had a lot of things that were tied into things that I'm even involved in and all of that. But it's not me, and it's not any of my ancestors, as best I can tell. I don't think that I'm related to this gentleman whatsoever and at all. So, but definitely there is some great clues that I gave you, and hopefully in a little bit we will reveal who those people are. But we do some great programs here on this international broadcast media. So I just wanted to bring up some of the shows that we've got here, including one that is being it was on earlier, or was honored earlier and everything. Actually, a number of these were honored earlier, including my good friends at the Gamers Den. So let's check out the Gamers Den. As I was saying, that was just some of the shows that we've got here on this particular network, the International Broadcast Media, which has always got some great programming here on a regular basis. So I was glad to have some amazing guests today. Coach Verdu was just truly on fire. Of course, Russ, Hedge always brings some enlightenment and some great conversation into what he shares with us as well. So definitely was glad to have them on. And of course, the fine folks from Southern Wicked Lemonade, and learned a lot about the different things they've got going on, including something that Jeff Eachin might be interested in, because apparently they're going to be doing a weed-related product. So I'm definitely going to have to pass on that information to him and see what they can do about maybe even some teamwork and things along that line. I did give Jeff a shout out in the show because I know that he is very much involved in justice and, of course, in the whole weed industry stuff with the show that he airs here on this network. So it's an amazing show. I am definitely a fan of that show. So definitely would glad to give him a shout out on the show and to talk about what he's got going on and all of that. So definitely was great having him share his wisdom with us and definitely his knowledge and all of that in terms of sharing it with other people. So like I said, he's oftentimes sharing it on the platform here on the shows that are done here, but I was glad to pass on his name and information to Miss Naomie Lucas and a number of others as well. So definitely was glad to do that and for them to share their thoughts of what he's doing and what they're doing. And who knows, maybe I'll get them to do it together. Wouldn't that be amazing? And all of that, because y'all know I love networking and connecting people on a regular basis. So definitely looking forward to having that happen, and hopefully they can find a way to work together and work together as a great team. So definitely we'll see if that happens. I know I've also talked to them about Kim Calhoun and her passions for entrepreneurs and women business owners and all of that. So I'm definitely trying to get them teamed up as well. So we'll see what happens in that regards. And who knows, maybe they'll be one of those folks that creates a new show here on our powerful network, because we do have a very powerful network here on this platform that is doing all kinds of amazing shows and all kinds of great things on a regular basis. So I'm glad to be a part of the team, to continue to do great things with the team, and to continue to add to our conversation on a regular basis along those lines. So definitely glad to share that. And I see that my good buddy, Brother Mike, was saying that he was enjoying the show and enjoying the conversations that we were having earlier. And I've actually got to make an appearance on his show at the first of this year. That's right. After we get past the 31st, he has asked me to appear on his show and to help him out with one of his things that he is doing. And I am definitely looking forward to that conversation, because he's always got some amazing guests, and I'm always glad to be engaged in conversations with him and others that might be interested in hearing what I've got to say, as well as learning more about what they are doing and all of that kind of things on a regular basis. So I'm glad to be part of the team, and I know he's glad to be part of the team as well. So keeping that in mind, we're going to be revealing you your folks that are your mystery guests and everything in just a matter of a few minutes and all. So hopefully y'all will stay tuned and figure out who these great mystery guests are, because they are two amazing folks. One of them might even be kind of seen to be an inspiration for what we're doing here on the international broadcast media. So because they did some similar kind of work back in their day and all of that. So I'll see if the fine folks here at the network agree with me that they could be kind of a forefather of what we're doing here on this amazing network. So we're doing all kinds of great things, and I would argue that they might have been some of the forefathers of what was going on in that regard. So I think that I'm just going to go ahead in a matter of a minute or two and reveal one of the two mystery guests, and hopefully y'all will enjoy this particular mystery guest. As I told you, they have got all kinds of ties to a number of nationalities, including Mexico, including Lebanon, and they've been in some great hits like Ugly Betty and 30 from Rock, or the one that got some similar title and all of that. So definitely they've done some great work and have done some amazing things in our community in terms of the acting and all of that. So I think that y'all are in for a definite treat when you hear who the mystery guest is and all of that. So waiting to let y'all hear about one of our two mystery guests, because we got two this time, one from outside of the United States and one that is clearly from the United States and was a major inventor in life and all of that. So going to reveal to you in just a matter of a minute or two some of these mystery guests, and I hope that y'all will thoroughly enjoy the mystery guests that I am about to reveal and all of that. So you're ready to do that in just a matter of a couple of minutes and all of that. So keep in tune and stay in tune as you hear more of the things that are going on. So right now, our first mystery guest is none other than the talented, and I do mean the talented actress, Salma Hayek. Salma Hayek is one of our mystery guests. So Salma Hayek is one of our mystery guests this time around. So I provided you with some clues about Salma Hayek. That is one of our true mystery guests and all of that. So definitely glad to see who the mystery guests are. So that was one of them and everything. So definitely Win Fond was glad to hear who one of the mystery guests was. So that was one of our two mystery guests this time. So once again, we have revealed one of our two mystery guests. The other one is even harder because that's a harder person to figure out and everything, but they are tied to what we are doing here on this powerful network. And that mystery guest will be revealed to you as well in just a matter of a minute or so. But first, I'm going to let y'all check out a couple of more of the spots. Some of them you may have already seen of some of these great shows that exist here on this network. So definitely get ready to bring you up some more spots of some of these super talented shows that exist here in this platform and all of that. So get ready to bring up at least one or two that you have already seen, but I think that I will bring up one of my favorites, Talking Upstream. And like I said, those are some great programming that exists right here on International Broadcast Media. And of course, we're going to have some even more amazing things happening your way in the year 2021. It's been a rocket ride of great entertainment and great things happening here on a regular basis, but we're going to continue this thing rolling right along. I'm expecting some even more amazing things to happen our way in the year 2021, and I know a number of other folks are feeling that way also. So we're definitely looking forward to bringing you all kinds of great programming and to continuing this great programming that already exists here on our powerful network that is definitely one of the top networks around the world. Skip all them other folks that you might be seeing on your TV and on your cable and things of that nature. This is where it's at in terms of great content and amazing content. So we have some great and amazing content on a regular basis. And like I promised you, I am about to reveal the other mystery guest. And y'all may not know this particular gentleman, but his name is Charles Jenkins. That's right. The name of the gentleman is Charles Jenkins, Charles Francis Jenkins to be exact. And he is known as definitely kind of the founder of television and even the founder of motion pictures. So that is our other mystery guest, none other than Charles Francis Jenkins. Charles Francis Jenkins, who is definitely seen as the founder of television and the motion pictures. So definitely that is our inventor, Charles Francis Jenkins, a very talented inventor in the world. So once again, our folks that are our mystery guests for this particular time on this online dinner party are none other than Charles Francis Jenkins and the very super talented actress Salma Hayek. So Charles Francis Jenkins and Salma Hayek. Those are our two mystery guests on this particular episode of this show. So definitely hope that many of you folks are out there enjoying having these great mystery guests, that being Charles Francis Jenkins and none other than Salma Hayek. So Salma Hayek and Charles Francis Jenkins were our mystery guests on this particular day. So glad to have those as our mystery guests. And I think that they were some great and amazing mystery guests and all of that. So I hope that many of you were checking that out and really enjoying what they were all about in that sense. And by the way, don't forget that there is the radio show that I do on Monday afternoons as well. So let's check out that banner and everything. And of course, I'll bring out my page that has got my Twitter and other things going on. But in the meantime, let's check out some of the other shows that exist here, including a personal favorite of mine, which is the one that Brandon Scott does, the Best of Travel. And don't forget that you can also find merchandise from the IBM store on his website. And of course, they've got some items of mine, including some that represent the online dinner party, as well as some that represent some of the other shows that I am involved with as well. So let's check out the Best of Travel.
My name's Brandon. I'm a world traveler, foodie, and YouTuber. Together, you and I will find the best travel hacks, tips, and best places to explore. Join me as we find new adventures together, live only on IBM.TV.
That's right. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. That's right. My Twitter account is Bluesman62, and on Instagram at Lee Entertainment 62 as well. So if you go there, you can find out things that I've got going on at that sites. And of course, we can get in touch on social media that way. Oftentimes, that's some of the ways that I find some of these amazing guests of mine. Some of them are personal friends of mine, like Naomie, as well as the folks that I have met through LinkedIn, like Coach Verdu. So definitely know that if you've got any interesting conversations that you would like to share with us, you can always go there and definitely reach out to me. The email is bluesradio@gmail.com. That's bluesradio@gmail.com. Once again, that is bluesradio@gmail.com. And by the way, I also went and found the website for none other than this particular network. So if you go ahead and copy that, you'll be able to go to the IBMTV.TV or the official International Broadcast Media website on YouTube as well. So if you just go in there and look for the official International Broadcast Media on YouTube, you can find all of these great shows that we do here on a regular basis. So do keep that in mind, because there are some truly amazing shows that exist here. And I know that the Gamers Den will be on tomorrow, that being Thursday. And of course, there is the Wine Show on Friday. So there's just some great and amazing shows that exist here on a regular basis. So just keep that in mind, and hopefully you'll get a chance to go on over there and check it out. I did see that earlier we had my good friend, Brother Mike, making some comments, and he's got a show coming your way on Friday. So let's check out what he's all about. Now, I just learned that there's a possibility that we may be getting Vivian's China back. So that was, I think, told to me at the award show. So I hope that I did not mishear that comment and everything, and they were able to actually have that happen and all of that. But right now, I'm going to bring up none other than Economics Monday. Now, how could I leave out Win with Win and Sasha? That would just be wrong. By the way, that time was not 100% correct, because it's actually now airing on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. So that show should be Tuesdays at 3 p.m. But let's check out Chess Stars. As I was saying, that's going to pretty much almost wrap up this particular edition of the online dinner party. I thought we had some amazing guests and all of that. So definitely glad to have them come and join us, whether that was Naomie Lucas or some of her business partners from Southern Wicked Lemonade, or whether that was Coach Verdu, or whether that was my good friend Russ Hedge, who also popped in as well. So definitely some great conversation was had with all of those amazing people and all of that. So definitely get ready to wrap up this particular edition. I think that, if I remember correctly, the Lawyers Den should be coming your way in just a matter of a few minutes and all of that. And those lawyers oftentimes have some very interesting discussions and are always glad to have their knowledge passed to us and all of that. So they have definitely, they can get into some heated discussions. I can tell you that for a fact. I've heard some very heated discussions among our lawyers and all of that from the Lawyers Den. And I've definitely been quite impressed with a number of the things that they have had going on in those regular conversations that they do on a regular basis. So like I said, I am oftentimes just amazed at the ways that they engage in the conversation on a regular basis. So one of the things I've been saying that we need on this particular network at some point or another is a sports show. And we don't have that yet, but I'm going to kill a little bit of time with a little bit of a clip from baseball, since we don't have baseball at the moment and probably won't even have it. Who knows whether we'll have it or not in the springtime, as folks have got to see what happens with COVID. I know minor league baseball did not happen recently, but I did have some friends of mine that sent me a video of them doing practice. So I'm going to let y'all check a little bit of that out just to kill a little bit of time right here. And so it's a fun thing since we've talked about everything, and Coach Verdu is in the sports world. So I'm going to give him a little dose of sports glitch. Yep, that can be that sports clippage right there. A little bit of sports clipping going on right there to give folks a little bit of fun time with that little clip of pitching and swinging. I even saw a couple of hits. There were a couple of strikes in there as well, but definitely that was a little bit of that kind of fun activity for y'all to check out and all of that. But right now it's time for that airplane to get on out of here and to wrap up another edition of this show. So on that note, here's the airplane on out of here.